Figured we'd start off with some morning news music. Ironic, considering it's news update. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. It is the day after. Well, I say the day after. The CBC's over. Another window. How are we all doing today? Dramatic news story. There's new champions. We will be going through them today. I have to say, right, I was thinking about this. It doesn't matter how bad the game gets, right? How terrible Plarium can be with game balance. It doesn't matter all the terrible Void legendaries that they won't bug fix to us. Can we all just take a moment to appreciate that for the next 2.5 weeks, every time we look at the summoning portal, we get to look at a Panda. Whoever came up with the concept deserves a pay rise. They can take my gem pack income and everyone else for the next 2 years. Because for 2.5 weeks, every time I get to come into the game, I get to look at a cute panda. Brilliant. That makes up for everything. I don't even care about primal shards anymore. I see a panda. Solves the problem. That's the best thing there. It's the best thing about this update. There's a panda on the portal. Panda portal. What would have been nice is if they had like bamboo coming out of the portal. That would have been even better, right? Like just bamboo coming out of the portal. Just double down on it. Much rather a sloth. Oh, well, we could go for a sloth as well. Yeah, I'm with you there. Sloth would be quite good. So we will go through all the new champions today. We're going to have a look at the fusion schedule in a minute. 'Cause to be honest, I haven't really looked at the fusion schedule at all. I've been working all day, so I haven't really been looking at the fusion schedule. But I'm going to have a look at it, see what we are going to do as a plan, as a strategy. Obviously, if you want the fusion schedule and stuff, and we have a fusion guide on the website. We do it every single time. We update it every single day, so you can use that. Someone was asking before I came on stream. Yes, I will be going for the panda. I don't necessarily think the panda's very good, in the sense that I think there's very limited uses of the panda, but I'll be going for the panda. It's a unique kit. You just never know when you're going to need the panda for something, right? When you're going to need that specific subset of skills. I'm going to have to fight my way back up into promotion. It's going to be brutal. Hey, Saf, do you think 40 man is for man is worth it? Currently 4k Ultra Nightmare Clan boss. Does he? So 1 man-eater on his own is not enough normally. Normally you need like a Seeker with him, or you need a Painkeeper. 2 man-eaters is better than 1. But he does unlock Clan Boss if you don't have Demither, right? So I think Demither is a better Void Legendary than Man-eater these days, but he unlocks it. So if you are 4k in Ultra Nightmare, then Man-eater is probably the best 40 Voids you can spend at the moment. So interesting, by the way, guys. I was looking through the data. I'm pretty sure they've renamed the alliances in the game, right? I'm almost certain they have renamed this. I'm just going to double check. See if I can find... I'm just trying to see if I can find a picture of it before today. Can I find one? Yeah, they've changed the word Tellarians to Tellarian League. Right? Because if we have a look at this, let's just make sure my displays are correct. It used to be called Tellarians. Yeah, the cat's here. Showing food. It used to be called Tellarians. Now it's called Tellarian League. And they have suspiciously renamed lots of things in the background that references the word alliance. Now, I don't know what that means, but seeing as though we know there's a major content piece coming around the corner, they don't normally rename stuff in the game unless they need to do it, right? They renamed a few champions like Drillmaster, got renamed because he shared a set name with an artifact set, so they renamed him. They renamed one of the Ogrins because he used to be called Stoneskin, right? One of the Ogrin rares. I think it's Rock Beast, or no, not. Is it one of them? I think it's Rock Beast. Used to be called Stoneskin. They renamed him. So if they're renaming the Alliance, that tells me, if I'm being like super like conspiracy theorist, that something related to an alliance is coming. Because they wouldn't rename this unless they had a reason to, because it's like a waste of development time, right? So, I don't know what it means. It's not just the Telerian League, right? All of these used to be called Galian Pact Alliance, the Corrupted Alliance, the Nissarian Union Alliance. They've renamed them all and got rid of the word Alliance. So, there is definitely something coming related to the Alliance. Certainly, that's what I think, so. So have any thoughts on only a few content creators? Honestly, I think time, Kessel. From my understanding, they were basically given very little time to play test it. You might find, for example, Hellhades might do a stream on the test server with the new champions. He normally does. I haven't really checked with him to see if he's going to. Obviously, I would if I had access to it, but I don't, so I can't do it. But I think it's just a case of time. They just haven't had the available time to do it, to record it, to test it. It's actually quite a complicated champion as well, because it's not like you can just throw him in some gear and give him a test. You actually have to try and figure out where he's valuable. I think Nub did a very good job. Nub Braids. I think he did a very good job finding some reasonable uses for the Panda. For me personally, I don't necessarily think what he found was that valuable. I know why he's saying Avenging, and actually it's a very clever idea. Basically what he's saying is if you can make this guy counterattack, then the fact he wakes up from sleep doesn't matter, right? Because essentially if he counterattacks with his A1, that puts him back to sleep, so you get the debuff transfer. Now there is some question marks as to whether or not Avenging gear is actually activating when he receives a debuff from his passive. Because typically the way that things work is you have buff placement, which is like 4,000. You have debuff placement, which is 5,000. You have damage, which is 6,000. So, for example, when I steal a buff, it is not coded as a place the buff on me after I take it from the enemy. It has a unique code ID. So elements that basically like lasting gifts won't work because lasting gifts has to physically work on a buff placement. This is why, for example, Stultus works differently to Lysandra, right? When we look at Stultus, was he a Bannerlord, right? Stultus passive reflects poison back onto the attacker. Meanwhile, Lysandra does a transfers debuffs from the attack. Now, you might look at those and think they're exactly the same. They're actually completely different to even debuff placement, right? You have placing a debuff, transferring a debuff, and reflecting a debuff. Now, the thing which a lot of people get confused with is the Riho situation, right? Riho has this instantly transfers them. She doesn't reflect the debuff, right? This isn't deflection. What Riho does is she receives the debuff, and then if this is not on cooldown, transfers it like Lysandra. So when you have a transfer effect, then your accuracy matters. When you have a reflect effect, the other thing that is a reflect is deflection, like this. This is a kind of a reflect aspect. When you reflect a debuff, it's the target's accuracy that matters, because essentially it never exists on you as a hero. And I think that's going to be a similar thing here with the Avenging set. When you transfer a debuff from one ally to another ally, your ally isn't placing a debuff on your Panda, right? It's a special coded ID. So the question is, Avenging activates on status effects, right? It activates on a concept called effect groups. So it doesn't specifically state which effects it works on. It says that it affects everything that is qualified as group 2, which is status debuff. So the question is, when I transfer debuffs from one ally to another, does that count as placing a status effect based on the ID? because technically it's coded in the 4000 group, which is placing a buff, not a debuff. So I'm not sure. The only way you can test it is you basically need a scenario, like I think the good scenario that Nub was going to test was in Hydra, when the heal reduction gets attacked on a target and he's asleep, does he essentially counterattack when he receives the heal reduction? Because in Dragon, everything's AoE, so it could just be that he's gaining the Avenging set from the 3 poisons he receives. Now, I can't test this, and I can't ask anyone other than Neb. I've spoken to Neb about it, and I've said, I think this is what we need to test. And I think he's going to, if he has time, he's going to figure it out. But my gut tells me at the moment, unless it actually is working, it's more likely not to be. However, if it does work, then it's going to be based on every single status effect, because when they updated stun sets to fix the stun Uko issue where both of Uko's attacks was counting as an extra roll, they didn't update Avenging. So what that basically means is every single individual effect that happens from an enemy that places a debuff is going to proc the roll of the dice. So what that means is when Dragon attacks you, he has 2 effects. He places 3 poisons and then he places weaken. So when you're attacking, when you're getting attacked by the Dragon, you essentially have 45% rolled twice, which is around about a 75% chance that he's going to counterattack. That's kind of what it works out at. But the big question, as I said, is does the actual transfer count as a debuff placement on Bambus and therefore activate his Avenging set? I'm a bit suspect that it does not. But until we actually contest it, as I said, the scenario would be when Bambus is asleep, he doesn't take damage, but he does absorb a debuff. Does he counterattack? So I think you mentioned his next video, the player responded to Nub and it works. What works specifically, Viper? Look at all these nice monthly memberships. Thanks, cool. Welcome back for another 10 months. Yeah, we do need to sort the icons out. I keep meaning to book some time in with Fix to get all the icons updated. I will do it, I promise. I just haven't had a chance. It's been so busy. He said in his video today that Raid confirmed him that it counts. I haven't checked this video. I'll have to see it. Again, I'm not privy to it, and I wouldn't trust Plarium at their word. Because if you believe Plarium, Stun Uko didn't happen. If you believe Plarium, the Fawn works in a specific way. And that's an incorrect statement as well. I can tell you with a matter of fact that it will only be on each individual effect activation, right? So if you have an effect which is 3 debuffs, but 1 effect, it'll happen with 1 roll. If you have 3 effects with 1 debuff, then you'll have 3 rolls. That's the way the game works. It doesn't work on an individual debuff basis. It works on when the effect is applied, because that's how it's coded. It's phased after an effect is processed. So the effect, if it was 3 individual effects, it would be 3 individual rolls. But the effect to apply 3 poisons is a singular effect. So once that effect is completed, that's when the Avenging set rolls. So I can tell you with like 95% certainty, based on the way that Stun Uko worked and every other artifact set works, it will only be 2 rolls on the Dragon that he gets. If, as I mentioned, the Avenging transfer doesn't work. Now, obviously, if the transferring of the debuff does activate the Avenging set, then that's different. But I won't know that until I can actually test him in an environment where he is asleep and doesn't take damage and receives a debuff from his passive. Does he counterattack? And again, he probably doesn't, right? Because he's asleep. You can't counterattack when you're asleep. So, in essence, I don't think the Avenging set does anything. Other than give you a high rate of counterattacking, right? It does give you a high rate of counterattacking than retaliation. Retaliation will give you 45%. So, yeah, if you trust, yeah, exactly. If you trust what comes out of Plarium's mouth, Fortis is working as intended. I would really not when they come back and they confirm it, unless it's coming from a developer's mouth, I don't trust it, right? If it's coming from player room support, it's normally wrong. If it's coming from the moderators, depending on who the moderator is and the way that the question was phrased, will be depending on whether it's accurate. So it depends on what you want, Arctic, right? Is he going to be good in Hydra? I think there are better options. Is he good as a Dragon 10 substitute if you don't have a Theodore or a Stultus? Then probably. But you've got to remember, like, Nub had to build him quite tanky, because I would imagine if he doesn't counterattack, well, he's now going to be sitting on like 9 poisons, which means he's going to take 35% of his max HP. There is fail rate in there if he's not tanky. So, quick question, does Avenging Sky Touch proc it? No. Avenging can only work on status effects that are applied from an enemy. If the status effect is applied by an ally, aka themselves, it won't work. So you can't like proc Avenging from a debuff that you place on yourself, right? So, for example, you can't proc Avenging on the what's his name? This dude. Where is he? Gerptuk, right? Gerptuk's A3 will not proc Avenging because you don't want your allies attacking your own allies, so that won't work. So what I will say is he is a very good counter to Siphi, but what does he do to counter Siphi, right? So whenever you want to counter, you want to see what they do as a result, right? So for example, this new dude, we haven't talked about him yet, is actually a very good counter to lockout teams. Because what's going to happen is if you're using a Warlord or you're using a Yumiko, he's going to reset one of his abilities and get an extra turn. Right? It's going to happen. Unless it's Romantic that blocks him, you lock him out, he gets an extra turn. Then what he can do is he can follow up with a single target nuke on someone like a Rotus or a Leorius, because he ignores, as long as he resets the A3, he can one-shot a Leorius, because even though we know his damage multipliers are not that good, this is good enough to kill any nuke, any nuker. This will kill them, right? So that is, it's almost like counter with consequence. Okay, that's kind of how I would call it. If a champion can counter something, it needs to counter with a consequence of that counter. It needs to be able to do something. So just because the Panda, for example, wakes up every time there's a sleep, what does it actually do? He's going to come in and he's going to go, okay, I'm going to put a buff. Well, everyone else is asleep. Or everyone else is unavailable, right? That's not going to work. Maybe he's going to put a shield up. I don't actually feel like he does anything as a consequence of being a counter. So it means he's taking up 25% of your arena team just to counter the fact that he doesn't get sacked. I'm not so sure. So yeah, exactly. I mean, Alexander, if you think he had Kaimar, he had Lydia, he had Gnut, right? It's a pretty high-end team. It's not, by the way, this is not a criticism of Nub. I think Nub is actually really good to have tried to find a way to use him, because a lot of us were looking at it thinking, well, this sleep mechanic is never going to work. I think Nub has actually managed to find a 5 out of 5 viable spot if you can make him work. But I don't think it's that. I think there are better options, right? I think you're better off running Stultus if you've got him. I think Theodore Mithrala is probably a good idea. There are probably other better options for Dragon that I don't know of, because I don't have Kaimar, right? The problem with Nub's strategy is if he doesn't counterattack, he takes a substantial amount of damage because he's sitting on 9 poisons. So the problem is he has to be extremely tanky in order to survive. Like, Jingwon's a great counter. Yeah, Jingwon's a really good one if you've got him. Yeah, so like my Dragon 10 hard team here is this, right? I'll show you why I'm saying if you've got Stultus, it's not even worth considering. Right, so this is my Dragon 10 hard. And the reason why I characterize it is if you don't have these ones, because not everyone has Stultus, not everyone has Jingwon or Yumiko or Theodore, right? There are people out there who don't have a solution for Dragon 10 hard, so we've got to look at every angle. This is my team, and you can see, like, there's no way that the Panda gets anywhere near this team because of the pace of it. You know, it's done. Nothing gets close to this. So, in that sense, he doesn't really help me. In terms of Hydra, honestly, I think Islin's better than him for Hydra, right? Because this is not 100%. Now, this is going to be like a Roxam. The problem with this is going to be, you know, Roxam's problem is in Clan Boss. When we're looking at Roxam, where's Roxam? Wizardman. In Clan Boss, you actually only ever want single target, but because he keeps veiling, it keeps going on an AoE, and you're basically you're nuking about 40% of your damage because it becomes an AoE. In a wave setting, that's really good, but in a single target, you really want this one because it hits really hard, and you're going to have a similar problem with the Panda because this doesn't disqualify the condition if there's only a single target. It's basically going to go, if I put 2 debuffs on a target, I lose 10% chance. Straight up. Now in Hydra, that's not necessarily a bad thing because it's AoE. But in single target boss content, that's just like you're punishing me for putting a debuff up. It's a bit, you know, I don't know. That's a bit of a negative for me. The shield being on this max HP, not the ally, is bad. This being 4, honestly, I think if his cooldowns were 3 turn, I think he's a much better champion. But on 4 turn cooldowns, he just disqualifies himself for a lot of content. You know, that's the problem. Does he need accuracy to reflect those debuffs? No, because this is, if you see, it says it can't be resisted. So he doesn't need accuracy because it specifically says it can't be resisted. Did we talk about how he has to be at the back of the team? No, I'm going to talk about that now, David. You're jumping ahead of the queue. I was thinking, getting this champion because it's a Panda, but some of the few legendaries I have a Yoshi. He is a very good Yoshi sub. Let me turn this on a bit. Zaf, I've been contemplating quitting Raid. I don't really have an answer to that. All I would say is, let's see what happens, you know, in the next couple of months when we get this major content release that they've been talking about, right? Maybe that's going to change the way we play the game. We'll have to see. I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that they have been pretty public about that this major content piece is pretty big. You're going to get a mythical champion from it, so we'll have to see what it is. How's my Stultus built? I'll show you now. Anyone see the Stultus? See my vault. Andelco. I apologize if I butchered your name. Thank you for the content. No problem. I'm happy to provide. So I've put Stultus in. He is in regen Defiant. Defiant helps just reduce the incoming damage. We've got him at around about 150 speed, 4.5k defense, and 102,000 HP. Basically, he's there to just try and take as much of a beating as he can. We've got a little bit of resistance, but you don't really need it. So it doesn't really matter. The reason why I say he's a Yoshi sub, I'm not saying he's better than Yoshi. I'm saying if you don't have Yoshi, the 2 things you need as a bomb with bombers is increase accuracy and increase attack. And there aren't many champions in the game, if any, apart from Yoshi, that do both of these combined. That's what I'm trying to suggest with he's a Yoshi sub, that if you don't have Yoshi and you're trying to run a bomb team, then he's actually quite viable. Because there aren't many champions that have this combination together. So he's very good in that role. As to whether or not you can make that role work in Arena, that's a whole nother question. Like, I ignore this enfeeble component because I don't think it's ever going to be viable. So... yeah, you can use unbooked Stultus. I don't even think mine's fully booked. Where is he? He's got 2-star. Like, mine's not fully booked. I booked his A2. I started booking him and I realized I didn't need it. It's just unbooked. Masteries wise, he's just got a few bit of masteries. Just basically tank a bit. So... Made a new account. I want to use Sun Wukong as my first 6-star. Yeah, Sun Wukong is great as your first 6-star pre-drag. I actually tested him on stream as a campaign farmer, and he was very good at it with good gear. So you can use it. Do I use my Stultus? No. My Stultus has 2 jobs. He is my dragon farmer, and he's also my Agreth solution, right? You want to see how you do Agreth really quickly? This is how you do Agreth really quickly. 1 shot. 1 shot. Leoris or Rotus Radu. Or Taras, of course, but... This is how easy Stultus is for Agreth. Look how quickly he's going to get through this. Can't ever take a poison. He's immune. Gonna get new mythic version of Mithrala, maybe. Literally the only reason for me to consider doing with the fusion is the enfeeble boss debuff. For me to consider doing the fusion is the enfeeble debuff boss. What do you mean, Acrobat? Yeah, I think actually, as I said, when I was thinking about it, Yoshi's the only one that comes to mind that can give you both, and you need both. So having it in one champion means that you don't have to run that Arbiter lead or something. You've got more options. So, hey, Green Virus. Yeah, I mean, I could just bring a Gnut into 1 shot with a simple A3. But look how easy this is. Every difficulty of every single floor of Agreth. So fast, so easy. Hope I got sleep yesterday. I look a bit tired today. I've been coding all day. I've been preparing updates to the champion guides. Trying to bring the mythical support. And lots of improvements, actually. I'm working hard on trying to get the champion guides modernized a bit. I'm talking about boss. The Shogun, you confused me. I don't know what you're talking about, Acrobat. Clarify your statement, Acrobat, so I can understand what you're saying. Hey, Dennis. Yeah, the enfeeble debuff just means nothing, basically. Hi, Saf, you're my favorite CC. Love your spreadsheets and analysis. Feels like an injustice that they don't let you use a test server. I know, Tortoise. But it is what it is. It means I can't test anything. Oh, by the way, interesting for everyone to know. I have reported it to Plarium. Our dear friend, Mr. Tumnus. No, that's not Mr. Tumnus, is it? Mr. Tumnus. YST keeps calling him Mr. Tumnus, so now that's all I'm calling him. If you don't know what Mr. Tumnus is, it's from The Lion, Witch in the Wardrobe, Narnia. This dude, he's meant to ignore 10% of the target's defense. Someone in Plarium forgot to apply 10% ignore defense, so currently he doesn't ignore 10% of the target's defense. Oops. They just physically didn't put it in. So it's not a major bug, but I did report it to them. I've let them know. I let the moderators know, by the way, do you know that this doesn't have ignore defense in it when it should do. Oops. So, I was just like... But what you got to remember is data mining is bad, and I wouldn't have figured that out if I didn't data mine, so... I know there's got to be at least one oopsie, to be fair. Everything else looks okay. Everything else looks fine. The issue with skipping is not that the Panda is good, but because they're quite unique. Yeah, I'd never skip fusions when there's unique mechanics, right? This is a fundamental rule. People going and saying to me, oh, should I skip the Panda? Look, if you don't want to do the fusion, don't force yourself to do a fusion, right? It's not going to be the end of the world if you don't have a champion from a fusion. But if you know, make yourself hate the game and then want to quit, then what was the benefit of getting the fusion altogether, right? So if you just don't want to go for the fusion, don't go for it. But my rule number 1, when there is unique mechanics on a champion for a fusion, it doesn't matter whether it's good right now, you always run the risk that if you don't go for it, it might become good later down the line. So that is why I would suggest that this is worth going for, because he has unique effects in his abilities where we might need it in the future. Someone like Jetney, when we were talking about Jetney, where is it? This is the type of fusion that you can totally skip and you will never, ever, ever have to worry about it. Right? You'll never have to worry about it. Why? Because all it is a Golden War Maiden. It does decrease defense with a bit of damage, and then it has some cool stuff if you ever pull Alsgor. That is all it does. There's nothing unique about Jetney's skill set. There's nothing unique about the champion. There is other champions that could do exactly the same thing that Jetney does, even within the same faction, and it just does it with a little bit less damage. These are the type of fusions you can skip. So fusions like Panda, Razelvarg, Emic, Gnut. Those are the type of fusions you can't skip because they do something that no other champion in the game does. You know, Razelvarg is being used in my Fireknight Hard 10 team. You know, there are not many champions that can do what he does. So that's what I would say. I haven't had a chance to look at the Green Virus. I will, probably tomorrow, because today's been very busy. I envy you as a software developer that you work on things. I'm now in mode only to write documentation on Confluence. Oh, Confluence. I've done a bit of work on that before. That's hard work. So... yeah, it's true, Alfish, right? So yeah, that's what I would say. You know, if you want to do it, then I wouldn't skip it, because, you know, it's pretty good. Now, what I will say, by the way, guys, they seem to be putting legendary books on champion training tournaments more frequently. If this is a new norm, this is a positive. Ignore the primal shard. Don't get enraged by the primal shard. Legendary books on champion training tournaments used to be only for the special ones, like the guaranteed champions that you would go for, or like there was a special thing for winning like a skin, then they would put it on. I've never really seen them put a fusion champion training tournament with a legendary book as a tournament. They do it in the training events, obviously, but the tournaments, they don't normally do it. It's well worth going for. If they can do this more often, it's really good. It's really good. You know? Yeah, I know. Just ignore the primal. That can just be a hard run. Yeah, there's a Dungeon Divers on at the moment. I actually need to do a lot of it cool. So I was like, I don't really want to do Dragon until tomorrow because there's a Dungeon Divers tomorrow, but I do want the Legendary book. So I'm like, okay. I figured I'd do the champion training today as much as I could, because you get Dungeon Diver points for that, right? So you can see I've been doing champion training. I haven't been playing the game as much as I'd like today. We actually need to make some food soon because we're running out of champs here. We can take another life taker. That. I actually can't get my mystery shard total up at the moment. I don't know whether it's just because I've been doing nightmare campaigns. Probably a flaw. I should probably start doing Brutal 12-3 more often, so we actually get some mystery shards back, because I have been burning through mystery shards a lot lately. I deliberately skipped out on the last champion training because I was just so tired and exhausted from champion training. Even though I could have ranked 6 champions during CVC, I just waited for today because I knew that there would be a fusion event. And I just, like, I haven't got it in me. I haven't got it in me. So. You pulled a second Gnut. So many people pulled a second Gnut. What type of teams did you build them? Basically, he's very powerful into double reset. Right, if you can run double reset, like a reset with him, right? So 2 Gnuts A3, 60% of the boss's HP. So if you run a reset, he basically one-shots everything in the game. The things you can do with two Gnuts is ungodly, as I said in my video. He's so good. Unfortunately, I got a 3rd Kyoku and a Harvest Jack, which didn't even give me a Faction Guardian. I saw that, Bobby. I don't know what's wrong with people. Why would you chop down a tree? What's the point of that? It enrages me. I actually hope that person goes to jail for that. And you might say it's a bit stupid, he only chopped down a tree. He chopped down a tree that was there for like 200 years. A famous one as well. The one that they filmed Robin Hood at. Like, what is wrong with people? I actually think he should go to jail. It's just stupid. Yeah. It's not like you can put it back together. They'll probably plant a new tree there, but that doesn't replace what he's done. I don't even understand why you would do it. What would drive you to do such a thing? What's wrong with people today, honestly? I can't deal with people's society today, honestly. Everywhere you turn these days is just some idiot on TV or social media or something spouting nonsense that doesn't make any sense anymore. Yeah, Michael Gambon passed away. Who can replace Razelvarg in Fireknight Hard? Cardiel. You know, avoid legendary. I absolutely hope they throw the book at him and everything else. But he'll probably get a suspended sentence and get away with it. Because that's the way the world works, right? There's no justice anymore. Yeah, just cardio. Yeah, I can. So I've been struggling a little bit with the Fireknight team. I've been trying to get the Gnut's A3 to work, and when we were looking at it on stream, everyone's saying I don't think you can get the Gnut's A3 to work. There was an error in my spreadsheet, which did prove the point that I was probably over ambitious at the time, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I still think there's a way to make Gnut's A3 work, but it is awkward. What are we talking about? Someone chopped down a very famous tree on Hadrian's Wall. It's the tree. If anyone ever seen the 1991 movie with Kevin Costner, the Robin Hood movie, Prince of Thieves, it's a famous tree that not Samuel Jackson, what's his name? Morgan Freeman. Basically, it's the same tree they filmed there. It's called Robin Hood tree. It's been there for 200 years. It's on Hadrian's Wall. Some 16-year-old kid overnight chopped it down. Don't really know why. So, and there's not much you can really do when you cut a tree down, is there? People have no respect for nature anymore. Because, unfortunately, a lot of people are bad people. Humanity is a plague on this world. So this is the team I'm running. So the problem we're having is if we commit a Gnut A3, it essentially makes the turn meter really bad. So what I've done at the moment, and it is a bit of a problem, and it can be solved, is I've allowed Gnut to use his A3 on wave 2. So what we're trying to do, basically, is make Razelvarg kill the wave, but not so fast that this comes back off cooldown. So the idea is we want to open with A1, A2, then A3. So when we get to wave 3, this is technically on cooldown, which means he's going to do 2 A1s, then finish the boss off with A3. So one of my clan mates was telling me about this, because I couldn't get it to work. So you can see quite, like, the Razelvarg damage is pretty good, considering he's not in Savage Cruel, because of the speed he's running. I think if I was to make this strategy work, I'd have to take Reflex and Refresh off my Gnut, because I'd have to arrive at the boss with that A3 not refreshed. So there's always a risk if you run the A3 that you either Reflex it or Refresh it, which is a problem. But then that's a penalty for my my Hydra team. So it's a bit like, this is why I wanted 2 Gnoots, because I can do so many different things. So we open with the A1 here. Then we get this damage out here. So you can see the goal is now we have to kill this before the 3rd action, right? So now we want to kill this. Now we want Gnoot to take 1 A3. So we've got to kill this team very quickly. Because if he gets an extra turn, right? So now we have to kill this. This has to die before Gnoot takes another turn. This is perfect, right? So when we get to the boss now, Gnoot's A3 is on a long cooldown. So we open with Razelvarg's A1 just to get it here, because there was another thing I didn't realize. We were working out the opportunities to get Phantom Touch procs, but I was under the impression that Phantom Touch cooldowns reset when you get to the new wave. They do not. So because the enemies attacked on the previous wave, until they actually take a turn, there's no guarantee that they actually have Phantom Touch off cooldown. So really, it's only the ally attacker. See what I mean? That's where Reflex is a problem. He needed to A2 there. He needed to A1 there, not A3. So now we'll probably lose this because we didn't get any A1s when the boss comes back around now, see? Oh, we got lucky. But you can see the boss's turn meter is way too filled at the moment. We got 1. See what I mean? Because of Reflex, we need to go 2 A1s back to back, and then he can A3. So you can see I've made it work at 2 minute 25, but it's a problem. Now, obviously, if I disable his A3, this works fine, right? So if I go into here and I say, don't use this at all, and don't use this, it'll work absolutely fine, right? It'll never be a problem, but it'll be slower. It'll be like 3 minutes, not 2 minutes, which is why I'm trying to figure out how I can get the A3. Almost like I want the A3 to go when I'm about to execute him, right? I just want to save the last 30% damage. It's frustrating. Saf the Night. I spent a lot of time reading... what's his face? It traumatized me so much, I forgot his name. Nietzsche. For my philosophy masters. He was a positive fellow. Does run fail when your car's first A2 fails to land? Probably. But not so much if you disable Gnoot's A3, right? As long as Gnoot keeps A1ing, this will run fine, right? Because the boss can't deal with the 45% drop in, right? You'll see now. So if I'm short on gear reflex with accuracy, would it be better to run my brand new Geo in Perception, using him mainly? Yeah. Yeah, you don't really need him in I mean, it helps in Iron Twins, but yeah, just run him with Perception and just make sure he lands his stuff. It's like here, we actually got a lot of Phantom Touches there because we got 2 hits on the boss. But you can see even now at the moment, we resisted one of Gnoot's A3s, A1, so we're kind of fighting it a little bit because he missed 1. If he misses 1, that's bad. Like, we got only 1 there. We should be fine because he should be able to get back around to his A1 here now. There you go, we got another one. So you can see as long as we do this, it should be fine because we're going to get back around in a minute. Oh, we didn't even stop it then. That was because we 3%ed his A3 right at the start. It's rough, right? He 3%ed. Because he 3%ed right at the start, we lost 15% turn meter drop, which meant we couldn't get back around to our ally attacks. Reflex probably on Longbeard and Fireknight is likely where a lot of the success needs to come in. I need to get back around to their ally attacks quicker. Why? I don't have Creedon. I keep trying to pull Creedon and I never get him. So we're stuck with your Carl. It's not like your Carl's actually quite good because of decreased speed, so it's not like it's a bad shout. I actually think as well that Creedon is not the best option either. No, I don't think it would. I think your Carl is best in slot here because of the decreased speed. What you got to remember as well, your Carl gives himself increased speed, so he always has it up, where Razelvarg can't keep it up for everyone else. So I actually don't think he's better than... I actually don't think he's better than your Carl here. Okay, proc there, Phantom Touch. So yeah, in this instance, pretty much, if they had Phantom Touch activated, it could be on cooldown. It's like Razelvarg, for example. His Phantom Touch is on cooldown right now because he needs to take a turn. See, that's what should have happened last time, which didn't. We lost 1 drop, which is a big problem. Because it meant that chasing us was a bad idea. The other downside to this team is we're also chasing the Fireknight's A1. It's not 100%. So we kind of like that. Every time that doesn't land is another problem. We didn't get a decrease. We didn't get a freeze there, so we might fail again. Find out now. See? We got back around to the ally attack this time, so now we should be good. But every time Fireknight doesn't land the decreased defense, it slows the run down by about 10 seconds. Because all this damage it needs to be ignoring defense, and we don't have the defense debuff, which is a big deal. We still don't have it. Fireknight is really low rolling today. But now that the ally attacks are in, this is when I would want to use his Blessed Bash, right? Because the boss is beaten, but... So basically what we need is more 3-turn cooldown ally attackers, because a lot of them are 4-turn. I think Kreela's 4-turn. I think this... I think Lonatharal's 4-turn. I don't think he's 3-turn either. Longbid is 4-turn. Fireknight is 4-turn. I think Cardiel is 3-turn, but of course it's a Void Legendary. Gory instead of your Carl. Yeah, but then where are we going to get the decreased speed from? You got to remember, decreased speed on 250 is massive. So this is the problem when you don't use Knut's A1, A3. Look how long it's taking. Essentially, it means that he's just an A1 bot, and the damage actually comes from Razelvarg. But you can see, once we get it down to this position, it's really comfortable. You just got to beat the first one. That's why a lot of people started doing the Valkyrie tune, because they wanted to take a hit so they could get control of the turn meter. Is he a 4 turns as well? Is he really? Cardiel. God, he is as well, yeah. I think Lonatharal as well, right? Lonatharal's a 4-turn. Yeah, they're all 4-turn cooldown. So, in essence, I think Kreela is a 4-turn as well. Or is she an orc, right? So Kreela is a 3-turn, but she's only 3 random allies. So if you don't get the GNU, it's not great. So that's why Kreela can't be used. If she was 4 allies, it would be better, right? Longbid's a 4-turn cooldown. What about Morag? She's 2 random allies, it's even worse. And it's a 4-turn cooldown. Pretty much all of them are all 4-turn cooldowns apart from Kreela, but again, it's not guaranteed, so... I think that's all the ally attackers. I don't think there's another ally attacker, is there? Am I missing someone? There's obviously like 2 ally attackers. We don't really care about those because it has to be the full team. It's basically Cardiel, Lonatharal, Longbeard, Kreela. Lanikis is the other one, right? Lanikis, Dark Elves, Lanikis. I don't have Lanikis. But she is a 4-turn cooldown. Granted, she fills the duration of all things and she would help increase the... Like, if I had Lanikis, she'd probably be better than Longbeard because we would increase the duration of the speed buff from... we would increase the speed buff from Razelvarg, which would be quite good, right? She has 3 allies as well. It's not great, yeah. You're right. That's the problem. A lot of the ally attackers are built for arena, so they consider you only have 4 allies. There's only really 3, which is Lonatharal, Cardiel, and Longbeard that do every ally. Even Fireknight does everyone except himself, right? Fireknight does everyone except himself, so... No, it's random, Neo. She basically just three random allies. So if you miss Gnut, it's pretty much over. That's the problem with it. Longbeard does everyone, doesn't he? I'm sure he does. Longbeard. All allies. Yeah, attacks one enemy with 4 allies, which is 5. So what I mean by 4 allies, I mean 5, right? I don't mean like Hydra 6, but what I meant by all allies is he will attack himself plus 4 allies, which is 5. So it's effectively all allies. No, it's not that you need a second Gnut. I mean, a second Gnut would help because you can dedicate one to basically just A3ing all the time. It just creates a problem that if I really want to make that consistent, I'll need to make it better. Like, I can show a stream. Let me just check if... I need to check it's okay for me to share the actual file so I can show. I mean, the team that I based it off, I'm matching the speeds. But he's got like double Fireknight and double refresh. Both Fireknights are in reflex and double refresh. So, you know. Oh, I don't know why the bot fired twice. Did it fire twice? No, just the once. It's weird. I don't know why it fired twice in... I'm just checking if I can share. I can share the screenshot, I think. I don't think I have one. Basically, someone's running the exact same team as me, but they managed to do it in like 1 minute 12. Very, very high RNG, but they've got it. One of my clan members has got it built where Gnut is in relentless, not reflex and refresh. So. Are the multipliers for the new Void good enough to compete in arena meta? Not the AoE, Darky. The AoE sucks. The AoE is a 3.1. This sucks. Don't use this. But what you can use is a very good Rotus counter, right? This will. Both of these abilities are big enough that they should one-shot a Rotus. Now, as to what happens once you kill the Rotus, well, that's a whole different question, right? Because it only works for 5 turns, right? It's only designed to stop 1 lockout. It's very good at countering Warlord and Yumiko. It'll guarantee he gets a turn. So you can probably go in, like, if you get your A3 back, you can probably go in and get, like, kill the Leorius or kill the Rotus. But the problem is they're just going to get revived, so it doesn't really solve that much problem. Yeah, so this one is a 2.5 times 2. This one's got decent multipliers, a 5 times in total. This is like a 1.7, I think, and this is a 3.1. This sucks. It's just bad. It sucks. It's just awful. So... you know, so what I will say though is a big thing that's going to help me is when I start working on this. This is a massive difference, right? I've got 10 speed I can get. I've got like loads of crit damage. I've got loads of accuracy. I've got loads of ignore defense. This will help me a lot. I haven't spent my medals at the moment because I'm just like entertaining. If I fall back down to silver, I might pick up an extra 120 silver medals, which is what I need to get this upgrade, and then I can use the level 7 upgrade instantly. I feel a bit bad spending 600 gold medals on a silver upgrade when I'm only 120 away. Feels rough. That will help. I say it like the Scandinavians painted warrior. It's Knut, and this one is Gnut. That's how they say it in Scandinavia, and I am from Wales, so I'm part Scandinavian today. Hey Seth, can you guide me on where to use my Lady Kimmy and how to build her? Most people use Lady Kimmy in Arena, and they build her incredibly fast because she has such a high base speed that you can take advantage of it. So like she got 115, it's like the highest base speed in the game, paired with Siphi. So you basically build her an incredibly high accuracy and incredibly fast. Make her take a turn first so that you can use this ability to boost your team, and she'll constantly boost drop turn meter. She's a speed machine. That's her. That's how you use her. So, oh, is it 1 more 4? You get my drift, Acrobat. She's like the top, you know? She's like top speed. What about masteries? I'll tell you what, I don't even know if I've got masteries on my Kimmy. Like that. Arena masteries. So you take Wisdom of Battle so that you counter the Siffy sleep spam, right? This basically is selected in all of my arena masteries to counter Siffy 8-1. It's the only way you can stop Siffy 8-1 reliably, unless you bring a block buffs. We basically bring Eagle Eye for accuracy, Laura Steel for more speed, a bit of accuracy here, and then we actually take the counterattacks because her A1 counterattack is pretty good. It has a chance of dropping turn meter. So it's quite good. So it's good to counterattack. This is very strong as well. I just hate the fact this is Doom Tower. Really annoys me. So, is it worth booking your Carl for... Yeah, he's very good for Dark Fae. He's very good for Fireknight Hard. He's like S tier for both of them. Like 5 out of 5. Yeah, Panda can counter Siffy 1 as well. No, because he can't steal someone else's sleep. Can he? He's immune to that, right? He won't transfer sleep. Will he? Oh, he'll transfer sleep. But I don't know if it'll work. Will it work? I mean, I suppose it will transfer, it's just not place it, because he can't replace the sleep he's already got. So maybe it does work. Maybe it will steal it. So, is Wuzgar outside of Fireknight? I don't even think Wuzgar's good for Fireknight. He's built for Fireknight, but he doesn't do very well. I mean, he's not bad as a starter champ, right? Where is Wuzgar? He's a Skinwalker, right? No, he's a Lizardman. Ogrin, one of these. He's not bad as a starter Fireknight champ to help you, but you'll never use him properly in Fireknight. Like, I used to use one of the dwarves with the reflect buff, and I outgrew it very quickly. Because we had Rhonda, which is kind of a cheat code, I guess, so maybe without Rhonda, he's more relevant. Can the Kimmy Masteries work for PvE content? Yeah, absolutely. You'd probably want War Master for Hydra, but it can work just as fine. Old Gruckus is very good, yeah. Where is Old Gruckus? Here. Yeah, this is very good for Fireknight, because you get the aura, see? Get decreased speed, dropping turn meter, aura. This guy just kind of heals. That's kind of all he does. He's just a heal bot, and I just feel like Gruckus is a bit better. Because you just get more... You get the healing from the leech, it's fine, you know? Is Panda's passive as bad as it reads with the active effect? I just think sleep is a bad mechanic. Tell you what they should have done with Panda. If I was designing the Panda, this is what I would have done. Okay? I would have given him immunity on sleep. I would have made it so that you cannot ever wake the Bambus up. So it guarantees this is always going to happen. Right? So the only way you can stop it is block passive skills or killing him. Right? I'd have made it so that when you attack Bambus, he doesn't wake up. We could have called it like eternal sleep. Right? I would have made this a 1-turn enfeeble. I would have made it that the enfeeble is protected. And I would have made it that the enfeeble goes through stone skin and immunity. So it can't be blocked. It can't be resisted. It can be resisted. So it can't be blocked. It can be resisted, but it can't be removed. Okay? I would have done that. So then he's actually a viable solution in Arena. So the way you counter him is you bring either 2 nukers, or you get ahead of him, or you wait out the 1 turn, right? Those are your 3 options. It won't remove the stone skin, but it will enfeeble. This then makes this enfeeble viable, right? I'd have left this as it is. It's fine. It's a bit weak, but it's okay. I would have maybe changed his HP to his HP and dropped it to 20% for a balance. I feel like 20% of a support HP is better than 30% of a DPS shield. That would have been preferable. And I think this is also fine, but I would have changed this to when there are more than 2 enemies, will attack AoE or something like that. I would not have made it based on the debuffs on the target. I would have made it based on the fact that there were more enemies on the team. Or just make it AoE flat. Just make it AoE flat with 50%. I don't need this conditional AoE. I don't really see the point of it. If you do that, he's a very good champion. But in the way that he's constructed right now, this enfeeble debuff is never going to work. Because even if you somehow manage to find a situation where there is no stone skin, there is no immunity, and you can actually take a turn and enfeeble a DPS champion, that thing's going to get cleansed. You're going to get sheeped from it. Like, it's just never going to be a situation where Enfeeble is going to be on a target for 2 turns in Arena. So therefore, if it doesn't work on bosses and you can't make it work in Arena, it's a useless single target ability, right? The buffs are pretty good. I really don't like increase accuracy with decrease accuracy. It's a weird kind of combo. You might be thinking, well, increase accuracy and decrease accuracy are the same thing. I prefer increase accuracy and decrease resistance, or increase resistance and decrease accuracy, right? The idea is you're countering the stat. Dropping the enemy's accuracy whilst increasing your own doesn't really help the team, because I still need the relevant resistance, because what if the decrease accuracy falls off? And I still need the relevant accuracy, because what if my increase accuracy falls off, right? It's a bit weird. It's not the right combo. Whereas if you had both of them up, then it is a bit like Supreme Kale, then it's much better. So that's what I would have done. And some people say it would be OP a bit, but it's only a 1 turn Enfeeble. I would take it from 2 turn to 1 turn, but I would make it work. And this then would actually work all the time, which means that the only way you can stop it is like killing him. As it is, this is never really going to happen in like 90% of the scenarios that you want to use it, because he's always going to wake up when anyone takes a bit of damage. Like, if you have HP burn on your team, he wakes up. If you have... Here's how stupid it is. Because poisons activate before you take your turn, if he has a poison on him, he's going to wake up before he sends this over to an enemy. I'm sure that's what's going to happen, because he's awake. Because you take damage. No. What am I thinking? No. That's not what I'm thinking. That's wrong. What was I thinking? We were talking about this in Discord, and it's come into my head as we were talking about it. Ah, yes, cooldowns. That's what it was. Someone was basically saying to me, well, if he's asleep, the cooldowns, right? Cooldowns with sleep don't work. Because of the way the poisons activate, it wakes him up, essentially. But because he does this before the poison activates, it won't work here. It's fine. I'm just talking about something else. I'm getting confused. Yeah, it's fine. I'm getting confused. We were talking about something in Discord about, does sleep stop your cooldowns coming back? I thought it didn't, but apparently it does. But the difference is because if you take any sort of damage, sleep falls off. It means that when you get to a turn and you have a poison on you, the poison will activate and take the sleep off before you actually start your turn. So therefore, you do get your cooldowns back because you wake up, essentially. It's a bit of confusion there. But yeah, it does transfer back. Yeah. But that's... There's so much AoE in the game. He's never going to have this up 90% of the time, right? 90% of the time, this is ignorable. Enfeeble doesn't work, so this just becomes a buff. And he's got an AoE decrease accuracy, so he's going to get sheeped in Arena more than he's actually going to be able to use this. This shield is weak. The increasing of buff durations is on a 4-turn cooldown, so it doesn't work for Clan Boss. He's only ever going to grow the shield if he has buffs to drop. Now, decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs is very good for Arena, because it can't activate sheep. So that element is quite good. Growing the shield could be quite good on that sense. So this is more, to me, this is more of an Arena ability than this. Because this has more impact in Arena, because it has less risks to it. There's no way you can get sheep from this. The shield can go on you, and you can always grow it. This is totally useless for an Arena setting, and I think I would prefer someone like this for Hydra. I think he's a better Hydra champion. Why? Because we get 100% sleep every 3 turns, with a decrease of all enemy buffs every 3 turns. We get a provoke, which solves a secondary role. We get allied protection, increased defense on himself with counterattack on himself, so he's a mischief tank. He also does a lot of damage because he's counterattacking. The healing is fixed, so now he's also a healer. So from a Hydra perspective, I get increased defense on my team. Okay, it's a 4-turn cooldown, but it's okay because I can build in some sort of buff extension in there. I get provokes, I get a guaranteed decreased speed, I get healing. Whereas with the Panda, sure, I get AoE decreased speed. Sure, I can reduce the duration of buffs whilst he weak hits, but it's not going to reduce the poison cloud. It'll reduce the reflect buff or the increased attack or any block. It's not going to really solve much problems. I think he brings less to a Hydra fight. I prefer Islin. So If the champion has sleep and counterattack buff, does he counterattack when hit? Well, he'll wake up. Yeah, he'll wait. So the sleep wakes him up and then he counterattacks. Acrobat. So yes. Should you 6-star Ronda, Sigmund, or Armiger? Well, it depends what you're working on, Sly. It really depends on where you want to progress. That's the key answer to that question. Now, if you need it for Hydra, Sigmund. If you want a turn meter control champion, Armiger. If you want a DPS champion, like an arena nuker, Ronda. But it depends on what you're after, you know? All agree, but it is the first infeasible champion. The mechanic where it's like with Avenging, it could easily bypass some future content. I don't think Avenging is such a big deal. I don't think Avenging is a very big deal, Darky. But I certainly agree that you take him for future content. You do the fusion for future content, not because he's good or bad now. You say that, Bryce. Future content. Everyone thought when Riho was a guaranteed future, guaranteed summons, it's not that bad. It's all single target. It's not very good. Then they released Sand Devil. Riho 5 out of 5, the only champion that can make some team works. Then they released Shogun. Riho, again, the only champion that can really make a lot of Shogun teams work. So I strongly disagree when they say when you say they'll only make content reliable on one champion, because Hydra, when it came out, was very, very dominant on Duchess, like massively, because you had to have Veil. It was Shamael or Duchess, pretty much. That was it. It's better now, but when Hydra came out, that was pretty much what we were having to do: build Shamael or build Duchess. They very often release new content that makes it so that you need one specific champion. It's quite common. Gnut, for example, enables things that no other champion can. Acrisia, for example, when it came out, was like everyone needs Acrisia because it can just do things that no other champion can do. So yeah, Muckstalker became a really good champion, right? We just don't know what the mechanics are going to be. It's very rare. It's very unlikely that there'll be only one champion you can do. But what I will say is whenever there's a unique fusion, it's always dangerous to risk skipping. That's what it comes down to. Hey, Cat. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Emic was unique for the fact that he could be unkillable and drop your cooldowns, right? Emic's uniqueness was dropping your cooldowns and unkillable and his passive. Those three, the taunt was bonus. Nobody really uses Emic's taunt that much. I do in Clan Boss, I guess, but what you're using him for is the fact that he can place unkillable on a 2-turn cooldown whilst reducing the duration of all your other skills, right? So let's have a look at the fusion schedule. I've not looked at this fusion schedule yet, so I have no idea what it's about. So looks like we're going to be able to get a Malkith tomorrow. That's probably going to be like 3,800 points, I'd have thought. Do you know if you can buff spread Stone Skin? Probably Gherkin. It's not protected. I would imagine you could. If you can steal something, you can spread it. So I'd imagine you can't, right? You can't extend its duration, but you can probably spread it. I mean, yeah, he's still bugged as well. So we've got Dragon Tournament, which really either you're doing it now for the Legendary book or you do it tomorrow. We got champion training tournaments on. I suggest everyone gets up for the legendary book. I certainly will, and the primal shard. Summon rush tomorrow is going to be ropey for me because I only have one void, one sacred, but I do have mythical, so it's kind of like 200 points, so we might have to dip into that. What do we got? Classic arena, ice golem, pretty standard. We got 2. Where's the third? Oh, look at that. See, this is what I don't like. Basically, from the 30th of September all the way through to the 11th of October, there's always an artifact and enhancement event on. Every single day. That's what I get really frustrated with. Like, give us a couple of days between them, seriously. Extend it out a little bit. Or just, hey, why don't we just put 2 in instead, right? I get so frustrated. I actually pulled my Strategos Nox in a box for my Hydra team. I ran out of books though. So we've got Panda Bowhorn. We can't summon Panda Bowhorn, but we need 2 of them. So what does it mean? So as with normal traditional fusions, if you don't get the epic, you have to do everything. Unless you pull, if you get lucky and you pull one of these rares, then obviously you can skip an event. But pretty much, if you don't go for the epic, you have to do everything. Now, if you go for the epic and you don't want to keep him, then 4 of these events can be skipped. But you have to skip the 4. Like, you can skip 4 of them, but you can't skip 2 of the same type, right? Trying to think of memory here. So you can skip, like, the Dragon Tournament, 1 from here, 1 from here, 1 from here. You can skip 1 of each rare. You can't decide, like, skip Classic Arena and Ice Golem, because then you won't have enough Tologs. Right? You won't have enough Meat Carvers. So you can skip all Artifact Enhancement events if you go for Malkith. Actually, you can skip the Champion Chase and the Artifact Enhancements if you go for Malkith. Or you can skip all the Dungeon Diver events and the Champion Chase. So, give Plarium some credit here, by the way. What they're basically saying, if you go and whale for Malkith, we'll basically reward you with a very, very easy fusion, because you can pick what the event. If you don't like doing enhancement, don't do that. If you don't like doing Dungeon Divers, don't do that. They're actually giving you a very easy way out, because they've been smart here, because they've put Dungeon Divers on every single rare, Artifact Enhancement every single rare. They haven't put Divers or Enhancement on the Void rare. They've put the Training Event and the Summon Rush. They basically put all the summons on the Void rare, which is a bit naughty. But to be fair to them, they structured it in the way as if you go for this epic, you save yourself a lot of hassle. But it really depends on how high this epic is, right? If it's 5,000 points, are you really going to want to commit 5,000 points in a Summon Rush after you just did 1+1? Probably not. No worries, I'm happy to brainstorm and come up with crazy ideas. Well, let's see. Let's have a look. I haven't looked at this either. Right, so what do we need? You need 1 rare for every single one. This is what they normally do when it's 4 rares. You need 1 of each rare for every single champion. So you can skip 1 of each type of rare. So you can, if you want to, skip the Champion Chase and 3 Dungeon Divers, or the Champion Chase and 3 Artifact Enhancements. That's what I would suggest you do. Yeah? Either you skip the Champion Chase with the 3 Dungeon Divers, or the Champion Chase with the 3 Artifact Enhancements, or maybe you skip like 1 of the Dungeon Divers and then 2 of the enhancements, or 1 of the enhancements and 2 of the Dungeon Divers, right? Mix and match a little bit. These tournaments are normally not difficult. The tournaments and the takedown, the arena is like walk in the park for most people. Even my free-to-play could do it. Ice Golem tournament, Fireknight tournament, Spider tournament, it's straightforward. The actual Spider tournament is going to end. It's going to end before CVC, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So I need to do the champion training. So I definitely would recommend you do the champion training tournament because it's a legendary book, right? Because I'm already well on my way to it. The only thing is I really want this legendary book on here, so I'm going to have to grind a little bit more. And I'm trying to do it through champion training, which is dull. But it's better to do it this way. I actually need to start getting some mystery shards, right? So you can see I'm actually making 2 stars. To save it, you know? So... But I like the fact that they've structured that logically. If they really wanted to, they could have put 2 dungeon divers on the same reward, on the same rear, right? If they really wanted to be awkward, or they could have put some of the tournaments in different places. I think they've done a pretty good job there. Yeah, I got my personal rewards. That's why I have a lot of energy right now. So I should be able to do both dungeon divers, not a problem. It's also tomorrow a times 2 primal and a times 10 primal together. I was surprised they did this. They've actually done a times 2 and a times 10 on the primal. So you're going to get 2% chance for legendary, and then on that 2% chance you're going to get times 10 that it's one of the legendaries like Heffrak or Trunda. Now, I will say I'm not really that fussed on the legendaries they've got for tomorrow. For my account, maybe the Heffrak is good, but none of them really scream like... Let's have a look at it. That's the gem mine. What is it? Super raise. Like here. Like, I'm not fussed for Vitreous. I have no voids anyway. I really don't want... I have Trundas, and I don't use them, and I wouldn't have a use for a Heffrak, because if I'm not using Trunda, I ain't using Heffrak. I've got... So... I'll be honest, I really don't want to pull shards tomorrow, because that summoning is poor. You know, it's just poor. I haven't got it in me to do live arena today. I really don't. But I do have now a construct of my new hard team, because this one is going to be Strategos Islin, who needs masteries. That's why he's not in here yet, but he will be. Where is he? Here he is. This is going to be my new hard team, I think. I need to rebuild everyone. We booked up the suzerain, so we got some... unfortunately, we had to book quite a lot here. The rabbit also took a lot of books, which was not ideal. So right now, we are struggling on books here, right? The books are not there for Islam, which is probably going to make it so I can't run this week. I'm going to have to wait for more legendary books. But this is the team I'm going to be running. We basically get... Well, I'm going to move Cursed off of Martial Ed and put him back into full damage. I'm going to put it on Suzerain, because triple AoE. Get decreased defense, weaken, decreased speed. This is rubbish. I probably won't use that unless it's good damage. We get decreased speed here as well. We also get provoke and protection. We also get then damage, increased speed, leech. We get big HP burns that can be applied through Poison Cloud, and then a massive nuke cannon here. This hits really, really hard. This does a lot of damage, this does. So we're basically using Martial Ed and Tomb of Seer double damage dealer. We also have a decreased attack, block accuracy, a block buffs and decreased accuracy there. And then Shamael is in here then for a torment solution. I'm honestly tempted to rebuild Shamael now into full damage now that we've got Islin, and make Islin the basically the mischief tank, right? And just run him a little bit slower. But I've basically got 3 forms of protection now, because even for decreased speed as well, we've got a decreased speed here. So if the target has a lot of turn meter, we get a decreased speed. The biggest problem in the last iteration of this team I had was that the heads just didn't stay dead long enough, so I couldn't really maximize the value of Martial Ed. Hopefully with triple speed, we should keep decreased speed up almost all the time, and it's going to hopefully pump stuff out. Uka out, Deliana in. No, because I actually want the revive backup in case something goes wrong. Right? What Uko gives you is a revive backup, which is nice if you need it. if something goes wrong, you get a little bit of security. I know I've advocated that if you need to build for a revive, then you've got a bad team. But actually in this team, I'm going for a bit of glass cannon. In some respects in this team, I'm using it strategically to basically replace the consumption buff, right? So, and I also don't have Deliana booked and built, which is another problem, right? I don't really want to go and book another champion when I've got Ukko that can just do it as good. But yeah, if I go for full damage on my Mash Lead here, I can make him the Mischief tank now and the Protector. This will heal quite nicely. And then just run Cursed Suzerain, Mash Lead. I might even bring in another Cursed champion potentially, if it makes sense to, you know? I might actually put Islin in Provoke set as well, believe it or not. Just to give him a second roll of the dice if this doesn't land. So we get lots more uptime. Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to need it because this dude is going to be like super fast and constantly AoEing. This guy's triple AoE. So I don't actually think I'm gonna be a problem. Like I run Mash Lead in Cursed, and Cursed is always up pretty much all the time, so I don't think it'll be a problem. The difference is I just want to push more damage into Mash Lead here, so I want him getting back in lethal. So that's why I want to run him there. But it's not that I'm saying you're wrong. I agree. Islin and Cursed would be an excellent option as well. But at the same time, I'm like, should I just put Islin in Provoke so that I get a second chance of getting a Provoke if the first A1 fails? Some people might say that's counterintuitive if he already provokes on a 75% average chance. But in my head, I'm like, well, if I fail the 75%, then I can roll another 30%, which, you know, further mitigates it, right? So right now, he's got a 50% chance, I think it is. Let's just check right now. Champions. I think it's a 50% chance. I want to say it's 50%. Yeah, it's a 50%. He'll never counterattack, so it's not really going to work. Because he'll always have more HP, so he's probably never ever going to counterattack, right? Because the Head of Decay targets someone on low HP. He's never going to be the lowest HP. So it'll be a 50%. So the chance of him getting a Provoke on an A1 is basically 75%. Now, if we put Fearsome Presence on him, which I probably won't do, it would push it to 70%, or is it a 30% chance? Let's see. It would push him to a 80% chance, basically 79.75. So if we assume that he doesn't, right, and then he basically does this. So if we put him in Provoke, we actually take it from a 75% chance that he on average that he's going to provoke to a 82.5%. So Provoke would basically give me another 10% chance of landing because it gives me another roll, right? It doesn't actually add 10% onto it. It's just that if you work out the probabilities of it not landing on both Provoke and his A1, it means that it gives me another 10% overall chance that I could get a Provoke. It's still a 19 or 18.5% chance that I'm not going to land a Provoke. It's still quite high, as in there's still a very reasonable chance it doesn't land. You could obviously mitigate that by putting Fearsome Presence. So if I was to put Fearsome Presence, it would go from 82.5% chance to land to 86%. So Fearsome Presence will give me 4% or about 5% overall gain, which is what you would expect, right? So with a Provoke Islin in Fearsome Presence, it would be about, on average, 86.8% chance that he provokes when he uses an A1. I would prefer the War Master damage than the risk of, in that sense. I'd prefer the War Master because he's going to be counterattacking. He would benefit from the War Master a lot more. It's just my feeling, you know. And it does mean that I can opt into using the A2 sometimes if the turn meter is quite low on the Decay Head and there isn't a Provoke up. If I've got him in Provoke set, I could use the A2 because I'll know I'll get another A1. So if it doesn't land the Provoke on the A2, it could, then I can go do it on the A1 again, right? So it gives you a secondary source of Provoke. I think it's probably a good idea. So I probably will do that. What's my honest opinion on the fusion? I've talked about it a lot tonight on the stream, so you can check the VOD replay. And I've covered it on the video. I think it's a fusion that you do because it's a unique set of skills. But I don't think there's, like, I think Dragon it's pretty good in. I think Hydra's okay. And I think in some situations, like for Bomb Arena Champion setup, very good. Otherwise, a bit mid. I think you pick him up anyway. Is it me or isn't there lots of manual Hydra? I only play manual and Hydra though, Almir, so that's absolutely fine for me. I only manual Hydra. I don't auto Hydra. So will he be good in Bommel? Yes, actually. That's the other place he could be quite good at, because you apply the decrease accuracy and you also apply the increase accuracy, so you don't need as much accuracy going into the fight, and you can then drop the boss's accuracy if you're running like a resist setup. If you're running the one-shot Bommel strategy, even better, right? Because you're providing the increase attack with the increase accuracy, so your bomb champion like Gnishak can push more attack. He doesn't need as much accuracy. So I think he's very good for Bommel as well. But then again, I just basically threw Gnut in with some bombs and one-shot Bommel. So, and Bommel's only once a quarter. You have to beat Bommel 4 times in a year. Should a champion be good because you beat a boss 4 times a year? I don't know, personally. I think that's a bit of a stretch. Iron Twins, I don't think he brings anything special. He'll help with the increased accuracy. I think we rated him pretty decently because he has decreased speed with increased accuracy, but I don't think he's anything like extremely special. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about. I forgot to mention this. Someone did mention to me earlier. This is the most useless aura in the game. You will never use this aura. Ever. In the entire game. You're never going to use it. And you may be wondering why. It's a really good aura. It's 25%. It's really good. Because the way the battle engine works, okay? Battle engine works based on team positioning. So when an enemy attacks you on an AoE setting, he attacks the first person in the team, the leader, then position 1, then position 2, then position 3, then position 4. So if an enemy is placing debuffs on a sleep champion, the first champion will be the leader that takes the debuff. So if you put him in the leader, he's going to get woken up before anyone else in the team technically takes debuffs. So it's pointless. You're never going to do it. He has to go in the last position in your team. Otherwise, he never takes these because he will get woken up before other people in the team take debuffs. Right? So when you're building your team out, he has to be here. All the time. He can never be any higher because he will not take debuffs. So if you imagine if he's here, he's the first person to take damage. I get debuffs on this champion, this champion, this champion. Doesn't matter. Because he's already awake now. Because of the way the battle engine works. And he won't be able to counterattack before the others take damage because it's AoE. So all of the AoE will go boom, 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 boom. Then I counterattack, boom, then back to sleep. Well, these have already taken debuffs. So he has to go last. And this kind of highlights to me the utter stupidity of whoever designed this champion. Because clearly, they didn't design it properly. Because if I figured this out within 5 minutes, I could have told them this straight away that aura was never going to work. They've not properly tested this champion. They've come up with a cool concept, thrown it in and gone, that'll work. And then now actually when people are playing with it, going, well, there's problems here. Why would you add an aura to a champion that you know has to go position last? You know? It's so dumb. You know, it's a bit like Nekret the Great, for example, right? This is something that I was picking up on. Where is he? Nekret the Great. So Nekret the Great has an ability where... Which one is it? This one. Whenever an ally is attacked while under ally protection, he will place a shield on them for 30%. It's a very strong shield. If you put him here, he's the first person to get attacked. If he dies from that first attack, then the ally protection buff falls off the ally. They don't get the shield. If you put him last, Well, he's not the first person to take damage. So even if he dies in position last, the ally here... Oh, let me select him. This ally here, who he's protecting, would have taken damage before him, which means they would have got the shield. Then he dies, then he loses ally protection. But they keep the shield. And this is a bit of a problem with Live Arena. Because you have to draft in team order, I always have to draft Necret later in the fight. Otherwise, if I put him early and he dies, I don't get the shield component. So, in essence, Panda has to go last. Panda always will have to be last in your team. Every single time. So, I don't really know why they put an aura on him. Yeah, you can. Hang on. Let me just finish this set. I mean, Necret can die from, like... Acrobat. I'm talking when he's protecting 3 people and a Taras whacks him. He's going to die from that, right? You can't make him survive that. He's going to die from that kind of situation if he manages to get lots of ally protection up. No amount of survivability is going to save him from that nonsense. I've got him built in Cruel at the moment. He's built in Cruel. 312 speed, but Fireknight comes in, so 322, 6.5k attack, 250. I might rebuild him and put him into Savage if I have to disable Gnutze 3 to try and make it go faster. And make him the primary damage dealer. He hits really hard in damage. You know? He hits really hard. Why do I stop at level 2? Because I would waste experience. So what I do is I go to Hards, save myself 2 energy, and run it one more time. Because I would waste experience because they're going to get to level 20. Sometimes I'll use rank 1s to finish the gap. See? I'd waste experience, so I'm saving myself 2 energy. Sometimes I'll use like 1 or 2 rank 1s to save myself 8 energy. But I'm trying to rebuild my mystery stockpile because it's down at 1800 at the moment. I've been trying to rebuild it for a month. What speed is ideal for Whisper? Around 180. Like, if you can go faster with the same amount of damage after 180, even better. But I don't like to go any slower than 180. That's about the lowest I would go. Yay, core hammer is so useful. This is what I'm trying to do champion training for. I want to try and get this, but I might have to do some dungeon runs. We were pretty comfortable this week. We got 12.8 million. 403,000, as efficient as I could be to get my personal rewards. I managed to pull out, I pulled Strategos Sizzling. Unfortunately, because I pulled 2 duplicates on the 1+1, instead of getting 60,000 points, I got 20,000 points for CBC, which kind of was rubbish, but it is what it is. I don't do 3 stars, Almir. I know it's more efficient, but I am I'm lazy, right? There's a level of efficiency. I won't go to like Earbad's level of efficiency. That man is more efficient than I will ever be. I will go to a certain scale of efficiency. That's why I do rank 4s and rank 5s. Like, you'll see I'm partially 11 in rank 4s and rank 5s. I just don't do rank 3s because it's a little bit too much. Right? I know it's more efficient technically. I haven't got it in me to do it to that nth degree. You got Harima and Licks. You get 30,000 if it's a brand new legendary. So if it's not a brand, like when I pulled Islin, I got 30,000 because it's 20,000 for a brand new legendary. Or is it 20,000? I know it's something like you get more points. It could be 20,000. Basically, I got a lot less. It's 30 for a new legendary. The 1+1 was bugged, was it? Okay. I know I got 30,000 for Islin. It should do. Because it should count as 1+1, right? It's a legendary. So if you get a new legendary, it should count. Yeah, so it should be 30,000. It should give 60,000. Why doesn't the double count? So basically, what? So they gave you 30,000 for the first champion, and then 10,000 for the second one, did they? Or did they just not give you any points for the second legendary? Okay, so yeah, so they basically give you the 30,000, but not the second one. How dumb is that? Like, come on. It's probably because it's coded that you didn't technically pull the champion. It came from an event or something stupid. I don't know. How stupid is that? Also got to order for Gala. Attack or speed. I'm not ready for Vegas yet. No, I got loads to do before Vegas. I got to record all my Vegas videos first. That's going to be fun. Good old Lupafang. I don't really think much of the mythical changes, to be honest. They're still too expensive, and I think the Mercy only really saves you 30 in a mean term average. So mythical still need to come down by another 20%. It's too expensive. Even at $5 a pop, they're too expensive. I was 8 sacred in Mercy and pulled another 20. Did not get a... Oh, jeez, Radu, that's painful. That's always that's awful. I've been there, Radu. I've had to pull like 22 before to get a 1+1. I've been there. It's painful. Yeah, it's probably because it doesn't come from like a source of spending, I guess. Even though it does. I don't know. It seems dumb to me. Anyway, I got 10,000 instead of 20,000 then. Or 30,000, right? Because it wasn't a brand new legendary. It was a pre-existing one. Yeah, I mean, they're getting there. It is true. They are getting... They're making the mythical system more available. I'm a firm believer... And we'll have to wait until it comes out. I think Mythical Champions should have come out with this major new content piece they've got. But I think some bright spark in marketing basically came out and was like, well, the Mythical Champions are ready. Why don't we just release them now so we can make some money off them? I think once this new content piece comes out, we'll get a lot more Mythical Quartz. We'll get a lot more Mythical Shards. We'll get Mythical Books. We'll get a free Mythical Champion. And a lot of it's going to make more sense. But they basically... released champions with no content, which is already going to upset people. Then they overpriced the shard, which is going to upset them again. Then they made a new book that you can't farm. That's going to upset... It's almost like you released everything negative about the new system with nothing positive, right? Did they not learn from what happened with Diablo 4? When they released patch 1 that everyone was like, it's 13 pages long, patch 1's amazing, and it was 13 pages of nerfs and bug fixes. And all they did was they basically took all the problems away in the game, but they never gave anything back. They didn't give any fun stuff. And that was the problem with the patch. It wasn't that the patch was bad, it's the patch didn't have anything good. And this is what the mythical update had. It didn't have anything good. There was nothing to chase. There was no new content. It was basically like, go spend money on overpriced shards to get a mythical champion. So I'm a firm believer that when this new major content piece comes out, everything is going to make a lot more sense. But some bright spark in marketing and the executive committee would probably thought, oh, it's a good idea. We can make some money off these things, which they probably did. Everyone's saying, oh, look, they're listening. Nobody's buying primal shards. I know for a fact that many Krakens bought primal shards. So what they probably did was like, we'll introduce the primal shards overpriced. We'll get the first wave of Krakens to spend money on them. Then we'll drop the price to make us look good, but still more than we would actually want to pay, so that people get convinced that they're now worth spending money on because they're cheaper now, right? That's probably what they're going to do. So that's how they'll unlock tier 2 of Kraken in. And then tier 3 of Kraken will be, okay, look, they're still more expensive. Here's a system that you can go farm them. But to farm that, you need specific champions you're going to have to pull, right? It's just optics and PR. I don't think any of the mythical changes is as a result of people are quitting the game or not spending money. I think plenty of people have bought these mythical shards. I think this is just part of a plan that they had. I'm just, I'm guessing. But I actually think if the major content piece is as big as they're suggesting, that's probably where mythical champions are going to make sense. And when you put the mythical champion releases with the major content piece, it's probably not as bad as it all seemed last month, We haven't heard anything about this month's patch yet either. So it could be a quiet patch, it could be a big patch, I don't really know. Like, this is the first time they've released a fusion, they've not had a player and play update. Because there's been no changes to the game, they just added new champions, so... We are about a week out before the fusion, before the patch update, so there's plenty of time for them to release more information. But yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I don't actually. They have given a test server. Yeah, I was just trying to think. Then, did they give a test server for the champion? Because I haven't heard much about all the other champions either. I pulled this 2 seconds. I got Old Hermit Jorg and Hoskerl. Hoskerl's great though. I don't think it's going to be difficult for them to get them back. Cool. I think most people are waiting to see what Season 2 is going to be about. And if Season 2 is, they're talking about big buffs, I'm always a little bit skeptical when Blizzard come out and say the buffs are huge, because like everyone's like, the patch notes for Season 1 is massive. There's 13 pages of it. And it was pretty poor, right? So, but they've got two dev, like campfire chats, right? So... we'll have to see what the outcome of that is. I don't think they'll ever struggle to get players to come back from Diablo, right? Such a big brand, big game universe. So people always go back to Diablo. People might not go back to Season 3 if Season 2 is an utter flop. And they might have to take a bit of time to get it back. But it's not going to be like New World where, they've got a new expansion. It looks really good, but the die is already cast, right? It's very difficult to get back to the player numbers before. I actually think a lot of people went into Diablo 4 as well thinking that it was the type of game that they would enjoy, when it isn't, because it is a true ARPG of a lot of grinding. The only problem is they just didn't add enough end-game content, even for the true die-hard ARPGs. So once you hit like level 75, you were just doing Nightmare Dungeons for the sake of doing Nightmare Dungeons to get to level 100 because there wasn't anything else to do. So... you pulled a mythical, Garl. Garl is so good. Yeah, Emilian, hopefully in the next 48 hours, we'll have mythical champions properly on the website. Garl is very, very good as a damage dealer. This thing here is nuts. These 2 attacks on his alternate form is where you would want to run him, right? You don't run him on his main one. This form is pointless. You ignore this form. This form is nothing, right? We don't care about this form. We want this form, right? Constantly the amount of times he does damage on this is nuts. It's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. It's so much damage, because every time an ally attacks, he's got a 25% chance to join. He's got Leoris as passive. This smacks like if his buff's on the team, it smacks so hard. If you actually set this up to be perfect, where the right setup for this team is Cardiel, Duchess, Emic, Garl. What you do is you set up Emic's unkillable in a protection so that you activate 99% bonus here. Then you set up the buffs from Duchess, Emic, and Cardiel, so you get all of these buffs up here. You put it in Savage Cruel, and you watch as this absolutely annihilates. This would then become the biggest hit in the game. Much more than Taras. Like, much more. It scales incredibly hard. The challenge is, can you get the HP down to 1%, and can you get this active with lots of buffs on the champion in the right setup? But even without that, this attack is crazy. Because it's basically a 25% chance to join the attack and then repeat it over and over again. She's nuts, he's nuts, whatever. This champion is nuts. It is the best mythic by far, in my opinion. The dwarf is quite good. he's really good. He's really good. I'm not talking PvP, I'm talking everywhere. I'm just saying as a PvP setup, that's how you do it, but I'm talking it everywhere. This champion is absolutely insane. Am I going to play Watcher Realms? I really don't have time to play at the moment. I might at some point. At the moment, I don't have time to play it. Exactly, Elixium. It's like they forgot to release the content. Oh, wait, that major content release, right? That's what it feels like. That's what I'm saying. I think once we get the major content release, a lot of it's going to make more sense because then the Mythicals will have a place. You know, like when Mithrala came out with Stone Skin, they released it with Hydra. Imagine they just randomly added Stone Skin to the game. You know, they made Stone Skin because it was tied together with the thematics of Mithrala that you got from Hydra, and all of it kind of makes sense. I think that's what the mistake that they've made with Mythics is they thought they could basically just cash in early, get away with it, and people didn't like it. So no comment, right? I commented on your answer, Scott. I basically said that team would work in PvE as well. Yeah, Gowl is really good. I feel like player is going to have a friendly battle opinion. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the biggest things that they should do in Arena. There should be a dueling system in Arena. So much better. Dueling system would be so much more fun, right? If you can basically practice and train with your friends and try out different combinations with your friends and then understand how your champions are working with each other, that's what it should be all about for me. That's when Arena becomes fun. Oops, I shouldn't have done this run. What up? Hello. Oh, it's a big stretch. The cats woke up. Nope. Oh, you got a clan. Well, there is a friend list. It's in player and play. But yeah, I know what you mean. What I meant is like clan dueling. Or just waiting for the Fateless games. We're working on it. Why are the games PvP focused, not store telling the... Why are the games PvP focused, not store telling the focus of gaming is to finish the game? No. I strongly disagree with you there, Scott. Gaming has evolved. Gaming is no longer about the finish line. Because your monetization flow ends at the finish line. Gaming is now about a live service. You'll hear this terminology a lot with high-end game developers. They're talking about a live service, delivering a live service game. What that basically means is a game that can continuously generate revenue for the company that they continuously develop all the time. There's never an end to gaming and a game because it's like start and finish. Will you stop rubbing your head up against everything? Come on then. And besides which, if a game is really good, why would you want it to end? Now, there's a way that you can have phases of a game where you can end it and you can have new game start, right? I think Starfield has that, right? Where there's a start and a finish, but there's also New Game Plus and stuff like that. Grand Theft Auto is a live service, yeah, essentially. I mean, you can call it a money-making scheme, but it's also a way to deliver a game that has more lifespan than just, you know, what it is. I mean, it depends on the type of game. GTA RP was very, very popular. It's one of the most successful game releases, GTA RP. You know, replayability is another way of doing it. Yeah, there's lots of good live service games out there. The problem with Plarium is they've gone a different direction that I wouldn't go with live service, so... Yeah. The difference is they've gone from having big content releases to constant flow, because they've realized that player retention is better on a shorter delivery span than having big expansions. Because the problem is, whatever you do, players will always blast through the game content, right? WoW will release a new expansion that they'll take 9 months to develop, and players will finish it in a week. So instead of doing that, they have a continuous release flow of new raids and dungeons that means that they can continuously service a better income stream for them as a game. A lot of games have storylines. I mean, I'm playing DragonHeir right now. It's got a pretty good storyline. But then again, I think a lot of people would say they don't really care about the story, they care about the game. You know? So it's kind of like... it is a dev's nightmare trying to provide a game to cover all types of players. Raid's got a story. We just don't really watch it. And that, to be fair to Raid, they've been adding a lot of lore in the background. I'm guessing this major content release is going to have something to do with this big bad guy called Siroth that they've been talking about through the Call of the Arbiter series and all the bios and everything else like that. So I do spam. I do. But I am like skim reading it though, right? I'm following the storyline, but it's just a lot of dialogue, right? So I'm still following what they're talking about. I'm still following the concept of the storyline. I'm just skipping a lot of it. The raid story is garbage. I mean, I will be honest, the Call of the Arbiter series was poorly it was too episodic in nature. So what I mean by that is it didn't have a storyline flow, right? There was almost like biopics of each individual hero, whereas you needed an overarching enemy, right? 1 minute it's Bad Owl's a bad guy. Oh no, it's not Bad Owl's Falcon. And then it's Siroth. Oh no, it's not Siroth. Like, oh, and then they're in a cave, and then they're not in a cave. Like, it was all too biopically written. It was all too episodic on the individual character. It needed to have an overarching plot line to it. It lacked that deep plot that made sense. But individually, each episode, okay, there was some genericness about it in the sense that, like, you know, I'm betraying my father, and then the dark elf fell in love with the good elf. You know, of course there's some poor lack of imagination, I guess, maybe, or there is a word for it that isn't coming to my mind, like contrived. You know, there's not a very original storyline to it, but the production value of each individual episode was quite good, I felt personally. The problem is it just lacked a bit of story to it, right? It lacked a bit of depth. Like, they introduced Tatsu, but never went anywhere with it. So you're sitting there going, well, what was the point of introducing Tatsu? Too cringe. I thought the series was quite good. Some episodes are better than others. I just think that the biggest fundamental flaw with it was it lacked someone giving an overall plot to it, you know? It was designed, by the way, guys, to be a marketing platform for a studio, right? The goal of it was to basically show that there was enough interest that someone like Netflix would come in and finance it a bit more. I don't think it was ever designed to be a fully fledged out system, because that's very expensive, right? You think Riot Games spent 7 years and millions of pounds building up a studio just to make Arcane. It was highly successful, but it was highly expensive in terms of time and money. So I think they were looking for an advertisement partner to make it a bigger thing, which is why they've done a lot of work. It could still work. We don't know. You know, I thought overall it was fine. It just lacked a bit of plot line to it. Right? It needed someone to be in the writer's room going, okay, but what does it all mean? who is the bad guy, right? Whenever you're writing a story, you know, I did my undergraduate degree is in English literature. As cliche as it sounds, you always need a protagonist, you always need an antagonist, and you always need a start, finish, and an end. Before you have that, I mean, there are some authors that are famous for not following a principle that most writers follow today. You know, famously, Tolkien, for example, never really wrote it in any sort of structure. He just started writing. But a lot of writers these days, they have planning around you. You need to know what you're going to write. Sure, you might go in a direction whilst you're writing it, but you need to have an overall structure, and that's what it lacked, right? We just didn't know who the bad guy was. You know, we didn't really get that, like, combined, okay, you know, they introduced Siroth, but they didn't really introduce Siroth. It's a bit like Rings of Power. Anyone, like, people in chat here now, if I said to you the name Melkor, how many of you know who Melkor is from Lord of the Rings? Actually, let's do a poll. Let's see. Start a poll. Do you know who Melkor is? This is a good social experiment, this. I need to summon. If you know who it is, don't put any spoilers in chat. No, you can't build them forms separately, Roll, but you can build for a form. So I think it's fine, right? You can basically build the champion to do one of the two roles, either a protector or a damage dealer, or you can build it for a crowd control or a nuker, or you can build it for protection. I mean, this chick here, by the way, I have seen people solo Iron Twins in like 2 minutes with this chick. She is strong because of this ability here. Because you keep getting Stone Skin buff up, I've seen this solo Iron Twins. It is absolutely disgusting. I don't exactly know how it's done it, but it does. I've seen someone solo Iron Twins with this champion. It's insane. I'm guessing you're switching forms or something. I really don't know, but it's nuts. I know, right, Bryce? Yeah, well, I mean, Tolkien was famous for not having an editor. You know, Tolkien was famous for you didn't critique Tolkien's writings, right? He basically wrote it as notes more than anything else. Some of it was written as a book, like, you know, The Hobbit was written as a short story. Lord of the Rings was written as a trilogy, but a lot of the extended works and a lot of the lore and a lot of all the depth to Tolkien was all scriptures and notes and scribbles and stuff he did between classes and between different things. He wrote a lot of The Hobbit. Was it The Hobbit? He wrote a lot of something in the trenches. I can't remember which one it is, when he was in World War I. You know, that formed a lot of his identity, especially with industrialism. It's like here now, 61% of people don't know who Melkor is, right? Melkor is the principal important character in the First Age. Melkor, also known as Morgoth, which you heard a little bit about in Rings of Power. Right at the start of Rings of Power, they talked about Morgoth. They never mentioned anything about Morgoth, who he is. Melkor was essentially Tolkien's Satan, the devil, right? The bad god is a better way of putting it. The naughty god. The god that basically sang discord into the Song of the World when the Valar were forming the world. And he corrupted, he's the one that created the orcs, because he corrupted elves and twisted them. Now he is quintessentially important to the foundation of Sauron, because Sauron was Morgoth's, or Melkor was originally a Maiar for another Valar. I can't remember which one, whether it's a Rome or someone like that, and was tempted by Melkor, became a lieutenant for Melkor, when Melkor or Morgoth, when he was renamed, was basically banished to the void by the Valar, which ended the First Age. And the Second Age is where Sauron then takes control of the remaining forces and essentially becomes the big bad guy. They don't explain this in the Rings of Power. You basically get a bit of a call-out reference to say, oh, hey, yeah, this Melkor guy is a pretty bad guy. And that is the fundamental problem. When you introduce someone into a new world, you have to set the principal characters. Otherwise, the rest of it doesn't make sense. You know, the advantage that the Rings of Power had is everyone knew who Sauron was. So you didn't have to explain that, because the films did a pretty good job explaining that. But they did a very terrible job of explaining the transition from the end of the First Age. You know, they were like, oh, the High Elves were hunting Sauron. The High Elves never touched it. They weren't even troubled by Sauron. You know, Galadriel's brother didn't go on a quest to hunt down Sauron. They hunted Melkor, because Melkor stole the Silmarils, which were considered one of the most prized assets by the elves because it had the light of the two trees. Melkor also used Ungoliant, which is Shelob's mother, to steal the light of the two trees. That's why the elves were angry. That's why they left Valinor, because they wanted to hunt down Melkor because of the crimes that he committed against those treasures, and to recover the Silmarils. You have the Oath of Feanor. The Sons of Feanor basically swore an oath to always try and claim, you know, nothing would stop them in their quest to reclaim the Silmarils. They even killed their own kind to do it. You know, these things are like very important things to make the Second Age make sense. And what did Rings of Power do? Oh yeah, Melkor's a bad guy. Move on. Oh yeah, Galadriel brothers hunting Sauron. Never did. That's like, you've already started at a bad position. And I think the context of this is when you are making a TV series, when you don't have a base of lore, you need to establish the principal foundations of any story. Who's the good guys? Who's the bad guys? And why is the good guy trying to stop the bad guy? You know, that's the principal story. When you're looking at like Peter Jackson's story, when Peter Jackson did the 3 films, he pretty much said, the material from the books that I'm keeping, the only thing I'm going to keep is everything that relates to how does Frodo take the ring to the mountain. If it doesn't involve Frodo taking the ring to the mountain, it gets cut. Because for Peter Jackson, the story was about Frodo the Hobbit taking the Ring of Power and destroying it in the mountain. And everything else around it that made that happen. So Aragorn had to become king, so Aragorn would stand at the Black Gate when Frodo needed to cross it to get to the Ring of Power. These are the things that, like, consequences of. I need to do an extended Lord of the Rings. It's got to be the extended version. Yeah, so Tom Bombadil is the big red flag for a lot of Tolkien fans who are like, why did he cut Tom Bombadil? It's such an important factor. The reason why he cut it makes sense, because as he said, it would take him too much screen time to explain to the viewers who Tom Bombadil is, and he doesn't really have a material impact in the sense that him as a character is a very incidental moment in the Fellowship aspect. He appears in the Fellowship of the Ring and then he doesn't appear again. So he's only impacting the quest of the ring in a very small window. So if you're going to cut something, I understand why he got rid of it. So I understand why they took out Tom Bombadil. Yeah, so they did do, to be fair, Sea Kayak, his homage to the Scar in the Shire was the flashback scene in the Mirror of Galadriel. That was him basically presenting the Scar in the Shire, was that flashback scene. Because again, the story ends, if you remember what I said, he basically said the story ends when Frodo puts the ring in the fire, even though there's like 40 minutes afterwards. So it's kind of like, why would we then have a whole story about the Scar in the Shire after he's put the ring in the fire, the ring in the mountain? Because the bad guy's gone. Technically because Sauron is defeated. And once Sauron is defeated, the story loses depth. You're going to lose the audience. So I understand why they didn't include the Scouring the Shire as well, because, again, you're having to explain to an audience that may not necessarily be Tolkien diehards why all of a sudden we're going back to the Shire to fight more bad guys when we just finally spent like 12 hours taking a ring to the mountain. This rare, by the way, guys, pretty good. AoE HP burn extension, random HP burn, and a bit of healing. It's not a bad rare. It's rare that I ever say, ironically, that a rare is good. This being random kind of hurts. But it's not bad. It's a decent champion. Looks a bit more like a dark elf than a high elf, I'm not going to lie, but... You know. Sophie. He hits really hard in Savage. He's probably the primary damage dealer in Savage. One champion is ready to go. That. So. Yeah, we'll talk about the epic now of the Fawn. So yeah, that was a bit of a Lord of the Rings preamble, but what I was trying to show is the main flaw with the Call of the Arbiter was they never got the fundamentals sorted. They never told the audience who the bad guy was, who the good guys were. They were all very individual stories of individual characters and backdrops, which on its own is fine, but if you're trying to call it an animated TV series, then it has to have some sort of plot, right? Why did they have to collect Arbiter's gear? Where did Arbiter go? Arbiter fought some random enemy that we don't really know. Why is Bad El trying to climb the tower? What's at the top of the tower? We don't really know. That's kind of where it fell apart. They didn't have enough consistent overarching plot. We didn't know. They could have spent the first episode, the first 5 minutes, establishing the backstory. Like a prologue. Like that's what they did with Lord of the Rings. They had to basically tell you, in the first film, why the ring mattered, who the bad guy was, who the good guys were, why is there a conflict of a story that has to happen, and drop you straight into the heat of it so that you could understand where you were. And they did a very good job of that, if you think. You knew within 10 minutes that Sauron was the bad guy, that the ring got lost and that was a bad situation, that men are greedy, which is a theme that happens throughout all of Tolkien's writings, because of the way that it's written, that men are susceptible to greed and power and hungry. You had like the elves and the elves' dislike for men. You basically established the core principal storylines of the entire 12-hour film in 10 minutes. Without that prologue, you basically go, oh, Frodo's found a ring. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Nobody has a clue. That's why the prologue was so important. I think if they did that for episode 1 of Call of the Arbiter, they would have had such a better job. They would have had such a better TV show because it would have had context and depth to it. You know, you can still do the biopic pieces on heroes, but you had to make it make sense, and they didn't. Yeah, but you know what I mean, Akbar. Why does it's kind of like you go straight into it and like, why has Bilbo got a ring and why is he giving it to Frodo, and who is this Sauron, right? If you don't have any of the prologue, you don't know any of it. So, hey YST, we're going to be playing Dragon in a minute. Yeah, YST, do you know who Melkor is? He gets points for the right universe, yeah. So, good timing. YST is here just at the right time. YST has been calling this guy Mr. Tumnus, and now I can't stop it. This guy's Mr. Tumnus from Narnia. So what have we got here? We've got an A1, 2 hits, 50% chance of placing freeze. It's basically your Carl's A1. We have attacks all enemies before attacking, gives himself speed buff and increased attack for the full duration. It's really good. That's on permanently, 100% of the time. And then we have a triple hit A3 on a 4-turn cooldown. Each hit has a chance to place through. I always makes me laugh this. When we were talking about it, why does it matter that each hit has a 75% chance of placing True Fear beyond 3%? You got your first legendary. Cool. Congrats. I know you were excited for that. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing True Fear. It's going to hit 3 times, so why does it matter each hit does? It's very strange. We'll ignore 50% of the target's resistance if the speed is equal to or less than this, so as long as he's faster, it's fine, which he always will because he'll have increased speed. If the target is a boss, we'll place Weaken. Well done, Plarium. They need to do this more. When there are debuffs on a target that doesn't work on a boss, give me an alternative solution so that I have something else that makes it work. Otherwise, this is just like hits 3 times, right? Who was it that they released recently that did AoE block active skills? I can't remember who it was. They did a champion called block active skill. They had a champion who did an AoE block active skills. Someone in chat's probably going to tell me who it is. Well, that's not going to work on a boss. So basically, the A1 is an AoE. It's just boring. Ethlin. There you go. No, it's not Ethlin. Ethlin's A2. I'm talking about A1. There's an A1 champion that did it. 20% aura. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could be weak hits. That's fair. That's a good thing. I didn't really think about that. Yeah, you are correct if he's weak hitting. So, from a Fireknight perspective, probably, I think Creodon is, like, if we look here, Creodon is a 25% chance books to 35% chance, right? So, Creodon's chance that he lands at least 1 freeze is 76%, I think it is. Let's see. Yeah, 72%. So this has a 72% chance that 1 freeze is going to land. At least 1 freeze. Where Pan is going to have a 50. So he has a 75% chance. So technically, Pan the Bowman's the Bowhorn, I call him Bowman every time. Pan the Bowhorn's A1 has a better individual chance of landing at least 1 freeze than Creodon, which in essence makes him a better champion for Fireknight. Then, when you add in some extra facts here, okay, he gives himself increased speed buff all the time. Creodon can't do that, right? Creodon doesn't do that. It's got a cooldown of 1 turn. Yes, he fills other allies by 2 and it's AoE. Sure, I get it. But this is up all the time, okay? And it's increased attack, so the damage is okay. He's got 50% crit damage and a 1443. It's okay. It's not crazy. It's okay. You get an aura here. Creodon doesn't have an aura. And then you also can ignore this effect if you don't want to do it and just keep running this one and this one. Right? So, who's a better freeze champion? I would suggest, on average, probably maybe Creodon. Technically, this has a better chance than Creodon, but Creodon has more opportunities to land it. So there's more chances that you can get 3, right, if you get lucky. If you want to rely on just at least 1 freeze, he has a better chance, but it's close. It's only like 3%. Affinity doesn't really matter because it's Void on stage 10. What math is that you're giving me there, Acrobat? The way I always work it out is what's the opportunity of Creodon not landing a single freeze? And that is at 27%, right? So there's a 27% chance that every single one of Creodon's attacks doesn't freeze. So therefore, inversely, there's a 72% chance that at least one of them is going to. So, Shu Zhen, that's the one, Bobby. Yeah, Shu Zhen's AoE is block active skills. It doesn't do anything for bosses, so what's the point of Shu Zhen's A1? So... So yeah, so I think he's actually a fine substitute for Creodon, right? I think he's an absolute, like, he's viable. Because if you pair the aura, the self-buff and increased speed, and the freeze, combine the 3 of them together, it would make him a selfish, viable Fireknight. This guy's a little bit more friendly for everyone, right? Because he's going to boost everyone. But it's not 100%. It's a bit like, you know, Razzlevards. It's a bit the same. So he's more of a Yakal substitute than he is a other substitute, right? Because he basically, outside of decreased speed, does everything that Yakal can do. Yeah, but it's very small because it's only a 5% boost. if he lands one freeze. He's never really going to land lots of freezes. The chances of you getting like 3 freezes here is very, very low. So the chances are you're getting like 5% here or there, where this guy will have increased speed up all the time. So the amount of speed that you gain from the passive will equal the extra turn he gets of increased speed here. So yeah, but actually, because this is 50%, it's more consistent, Almir, right? You technically would rather 2 hits at 50% than 3 hits at 35%. Because you get 3% more overall average, and it's just better chance of you actually landing it. For AoE setting. Yeah, but that's an AoE. Like, the waves on Fireknight 10 hard are so easy, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, you can't keep... Like, if you don't want to go for the Panda, I think he's probably the epic you pick up, right? Because Malkith is alright, but he's nothing special. Ironically, Malkith's A2 is better than Panda's A2. So, important for the counter 21? Yes. Agreed. The hits do matter, but not that much. It's only 1, right? So it's not like it's crazy, crazy. That's why I'm saying he's more of a Yakal substitute, because Yakal hits twice on an A1 as well, right? He's basically Yakal without the decreased speed. It's kind of what I would compare him to. Because Yakal gives himself increased speed, Yakal puts decreased speed, Yakal also does A1 decreased speed, A1 freeze on a 50%. He's much more of a Yakal substitute. Some could argue, why would you want Pan the Bowhorn when you can get Yakal from Clan Gold? That's a fair example. So, yeah, he is a reviver. But I don't really know if you need a reviver at this point. Like, I feel like stat bloat is to such an extreme now that if I just get Thylesia and run it with, like, you know, some protect... There's, like, plenty of in here. I don't know if you need a reviver, but... I would definitely not keep him. I would skip events and use him. I wouldn't keep him. If you're going to get him from the Summon Rush, I would not keep him. This is pretty good for Clan Boss, though. There's not many there's more now, but there's not many on a 3-turn cooldown. So I don't think it's a worse like I always think people are a little bit dramatic about that statement. This champion is now worse than Yakal, so therefore, you know, he's useless. I mean, he's an epic, so he's never going to compete with a Void Legendary. But he does do things that Yakal can't do, because he can give you the weaken. He has a speed aura. Yakal doesn't have that. He self-buffs himself increased attack. Yakal doesn't do that. So there are things in his kit that are unique that make him more desirable in certain areas. The fact he needs less accuracy is a very good idea. It's very cool. I mean, technically, if you pair this alongside Heavencast, you could probably run him with no accuracy whatsoever. I don't think it's fair to basically say he's worse than a Void Legendary, because most champions are. But as an epic champion that maybe you haven't got Yakal yet, you might want to invest in him. Is he a bad Fireknight hard champion? No, I think he can do a job. Hey, Seth, I messaged you earlier about Clan Boss AI weirdness on Discord. Any insights as to why? I actually don't know, Matt. Some people in chat might know. I know a while ago, like 18 months ago, we were surprised that there was even this concept that the AI for the Clan Boss can change. There are situations that can make it happen, but I don't know what it is. I know Deadwood was looking into it at some point. I don't know if he ever got to a conclusive outcome as to what the cause of it was. But yeah, it's very frustrating. It's probably something to do with like different effects and set active at the same time or something like that. Having a tough time with the Sand Devil. I'm 1 star away from getting my 5-star in Eerie. Shiramani just doesn't do it enough. The problem with Shiramani is she doesn't bring enough with it, right? So, for example, where is she? 4-turn cooldown for 1 freeze. Never going to work. A heal that you don't need because if you take a hit, you die. And then 3 hits at random is a 25% chance for freeze. So, Creodon, better. Pan the Bowman, better. Right? 25% chance basically means, on average, you have a 58% chance to land 1 freeze. On average, this A1 has a 42% chance that it will never land a freeze. That's just too high. You just don't get enough consistency from it. And that's the main problem with her. She doesn't freeze enough. Her rates are not good enough. Yeah, so for Matt, for everyone in chat, Matt basically had a situation where he added Vizier to the team and it made the boss do A2 instead of A3, I think you said, or A3 instead of A2, one of the ways. I have the 5-star Rhaenyra. She is built for 24, 25. I know how to get there. I'm at about level 13. So Radu, all you should have to do is look at the build for stage 25, and then probably like the way I would get there is I would build my 24 team. I have a video on it on stage 24, but take the speed and make sure that Rhaenyra is just one speed higher than the boss. As long as you do that, you should climb, right? You might have to re-gear a bit by bit, but the idea is as long as Rhaenyra is +1 speed of the boss and you keep incrementing, you should be able to get up there to the stage 24 and 25 to unlock it. Because the same team concept will work on all stages, right? You just need to make sure the speed tune is right. So I always say Ninja needs to be within, Ninja or whoever your burner or your DPS is, needs to be within 20 speed of the Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra always needs to be +1 speed the boss. And you can climb all the way through with that. I guess for wave-based content, you never take a hit. Oh, I'm not saying she's a bad champion, LSRO. She's actually quite good for like supporting your team because you get a lot of healings. We're talking specifically Fireknight hard. Shiramani is a really good champion overall. She's a bit dated. Like, I think there are more champions in the game now that can do her job with more in their kit, more damage, more effects. But that's kind of like what we were talking about. We were specifically talking about Fireknight hard, that she didn't freeze enough. She must die on the big AoE. Yeah, she'll always die on the big AoE. Well, she doesn't have to die, but it would be helpful. But you'll climb so high that eventually you'll get there. What is the downside of being more? There isn't a downside, Green Virus, as long as you're not lapping the boss too much, right? You can be like +4, +5, or even sometimes +10. It depends if you break a divisional breakpoint, which means that you activate background and revive Ninja at the wrong spot. It can cause problems. So that's why I always advise try to stick to 1 as close as you can. Is that needed when I have 5-star Awakening Rhaenyra? Well, you still need to make sure that the revive works with the nuke, right? You want to make sure that the revive is available when the nuke happens so that you can revive Ninja straight away. So there's still a speed tune that you need to have there. Best sub for Ninja in Sand Devil? Probably either Supreme Garlic or Chronum. James, Supreme Garlic or Chronum, I would say. What's the difference between 5-star and 6-star Miracle Heal? I just think the percentage. I think it just heals more. 5-star is the break point. That's what you need. Does that? Chronum just needs to be Chronum just needs to make sure that he gets 4 turns in, Robo Ninja. So Chronum's a little bit easier because he self-revives himself. It doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that Chronum takes at least 4 turns before he dies so that he has his passive back. So you can actually go a lot faster than the boss if you want to, just so long as you're going fast enough that he gets his 4 turn back. Someone was saying I can go 12-6 normal and they'll get full. Let's see. It's on auto. Now, Chronum, as I said, Chronum just needs to go 4 turns. Oh, he does. There you go. I could have saved more energy. Thank you to whoever in chat told me to do 12-6 normal. I think this will be the last set of champs here we do, and then we're going to jump over and play a little bit of DragonHeir for about 15 minutes or so. I'm actually trying to build a Fireknight hard team. I need to do more work on it. I'm working on it. I'm trying to refine it. I probably need to spend some more time on a spreadsheet figuring out the speed break points. I need to spend more time in live arena getting some area bonuses to make it work. Where does that get me in the champion training tournament? That gets me up to... We're nearly there, 7,000. We've only got like... We're halfway there. Dungeon divers, we're going to have to grind a bit out. Is it going to load? You suppose that they will ever expand the artifact? I would imagine there's a technical issue as to why they haven't. Oh, nearly there. We've only got another 1,500, so we'll be able to get this legendary tome. That shouldn't be a problem. Should not be a problemo. Summon Rush tomorrow, Dungeon Divers tomorrow. I'm going to try and get as much of the Dragon done on the other Dungeon Divers. We did do the Sand Devil tournament. Got my stone out of that. It's well worth doing it. I might like fight for positioning, but I'm quite happy with this. This make me happy, to be honest. I don't really care about this as long as I get... Like, I'm in the window here for either 150 energy or 75 gems, so I'll just play around that tomorrow. We are building up a nice stockpile. Ooh, one thing I haven't done yet, which I need to do, is Iron Twins. Get this done. Right, whilst that's doing, let's get set up with DragonHeir. Right, 1 second. And I need to turn the mic off. 1 sec. Professional streamer hard at work here. Stream overlay. I need to turn off this. So we can go over here and then... Camera! Got there in the end, didn't we? 1 second. There we go. How am I finding BG3? I haven't played it since Hellhades stream the other night. So we're going to play this for about 15 minutes, give or take. Maybe 20 minutes. But how do you have so many multi-battles? I tend to, Carter, when they do like the pack for like energy with multi-battles times 15 or 14, I like to buy the multi-battles because I just prefer to manage my auto-selling myself. Mac Chan's last video got taken down. Which one, Turgle? Was it the second one he posted? Because I was pretty certain the second one was going to get taken down. When he was basically saying my video got taken down because I was talking about account selling and account trading. And then proceeded... Yeah, that one I'm aware of. I'm expecting his other one to get taken down because he's just basically repeated the same content that they've told him not to do. It's the don't ask, don't tell. Yeah, we don't talk about account trading. If we don't talk about it, you're fine. Can you please make my third referral be over? I'm just taking so long. I can't make anything happen. What are you doing, cat? The cat decides he wants attention now. Should we use this horn then? I've never got anything good out of this horn. That's not a copyright dispute. Copyright striking is used to basically take down content you don't want. It's not really about like whether the content has been copyrighted. It's a way for owners of intellectual property to basically go, I don't like this video, it's negative towards me, I'm going to copyright strike you. You can contest it, but you'll never beat the army of lawyers that Playroom have, and the fact that they pay all their money to YouTube. YouTube will just listen to what Playroom want them to do. To be fair, I think it's pretty disingenuous of him to actually come out and be like blunt and say, oh yeah, I bought an account, I used third-party services to basically, you know, avoid tax laws and various different things. And if I come back to the game, I'll buy another account. I'm like, I would not be saying that even if I was leaving. I would have just said I gave my account away. Like, the fact he was so blatantly honest about it, like, that's very strange to me, because he knows it's against terms of service. He knows it's against the law. They won't ban it, Michael. They don't ban the accounts. Yeah, Belgium doesn't have it due to loot boxes. Belgium have very strict laws on loot boxes, so you don't see a lot of the loot box style games out there. Right then, what are we going to do? Sedated Lightning Dwarf. I've never got anything good out of this horn. I don't think I do get anything good out of it. Oh, an 8. It's going to be another useless common, isn't it? Oh, I didn't even get a champion. Didn't even get a champion. So yeah, I've been playing a fair bit offline since we last played. I've got up to like the third. I beat the first boss, or the second boss. We've unlocked a lot more of the world now, you know. You see, I've got all these. I've got new dungeons. We've got Fey Meander. I'll see if we can challenge Ice Poseidon. I don't know if I've done that yet. There's an angry Poseidon boss. We'll fight that. I've started unlocking this new area down here, which is cool. There's an Outlands Rift. Oh, I think I must have already done the Poseidon boss, which is a shame. What is that? Fast travel. Level 130? Good lord, no. Could probably do level 70. Let's try that. Let's see what this is about. Right, so I've been using this team as pretty much a standard, right? Isolde is a tank. HS. This common champion here. Not here. That's Arena. This one here. She is a beast. This is an absolute beast of a champion. She's a common, but she heals better than the rare, right? We use this champion here because this is a pretty good like cleanse and heal. And then we have Isolde at the front here. She's providing the attack penalty, a nice shield, defense-based, protecting the team. This champ here is basically for this recharging penalty, so that it slows the enemy from being able to take turns, which is kind of cool. Bit of healing reduction. And yeah, it's kind of like the team I've been running with. So you see it, like, this team is very tanky. The amount of healing that I can put out.
Choke on your own blood.
I just don't take damage with this team. It's not the highest DPS, to be fair. There's problems with it. Like I could use with more damage, but it's pretty tanky. I don't think I've played Wartails, no. Like, you can see the healing charts here. The common. Look how much the common is out healing the rare. Like, double. It's crazy how good Meredith is as a healer. Wow, that other dude just doesn't want to die.
I'll try my best. Choke on your own blood.
So yeah, we're basically putting this like speed penalty on.
Yes, I'll try my best.
I found this team, like, not much can beat this team at the moment. But if I don't have a lot, if I need to kill things quickly, it's a bit of a struggle. Pretty good. Yeah, it's good graphics on it. Well, we beat that. I don't really know what we got for it. So it's got, like, open world elements where you basically run around the world, do lots of different things, like there's different dungeons. I'm currently working my way through this weekly quest. So there's a battle pass system here where there's a bit like the Forge pass. There's like a free pass and then there's like a paid pass. I've been playing it a lot, so I gave the battle pass a go. It's $20. It's pretty reasonable. You get lots, right? You get 2 legendary summons there. You get another one. That's a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7. See, this is what you get for $20 in this game. 7 dice, which can give you a legendary. 6 epic only. Then you get all this material, a frame. You get a legendary book, essentially. 2 epic books. This is like how you get food to basically farm dungeons. This material you need to actually like enhance your accessories. I haven't got to this sort of stuff yet. I don't know what it does. I have no idea what this does yet. I'll figure that out. And then energy, right? And then this is like the premium gem currency. So you get 1,000 gems. All that for $20. Doing the battle pass. It's pretty good. In terms of like monetization, you have like daily packs. This is like if you think of Raid's gem pack, this is their gem pack. So you get 3,100 a day. This is instant as well. And then you get like food as well, right? So energy is here. So you can get like 30 energy a day plus 30 auto battles. I don't like the fact that you have to buy the auto battles. It's a bit lame. But for $5 for a 30-day window is actually really good. If you play the game seriously, $5 on a month is absolutely fine. I think that's a very fair monetization model. You get a lot from these two. So these two plus the battle pass is like $35 a month investment. You get a lot for that $35. As we're in early part of the season on season 1, right now what a lot of people are doing, they're just converting these gems into summoning, right? Because you have a model in this game. It's like seasons. Right now, there's a season that's going to run till 12th of December. It's called Season 1. What happens when a season ends, it basically kind of like is a bit of a hard reset on the game. So you keep your heroes, but they get reset back down to a level 1. So they reset them back. Your unlocked artifacts will be reserved, but they will all go back to level 0. This will be like some sort of weird stuff. There's like a seasonal shop. Essence of Creation, this stuff here that you obtain through Heliot Dice will be retained. You'll reserve your Pure Sand Core. Don't really know what that is at the moment. Haven't figured that. And then anything that you've bought is fully reserved. So like Wear Marrow, Drag, Crystal Summon Dice, Skill Scroll, any unconsumed monthly card will be reserved until the next season. And then you keep your Avatar Frames. You keep your Psychic Core. All the points you've earned will be kept, but you have to reassign them. The world exploration is reset, and the elemental affinity is reset. So it basically is kind of like a Diablo style thing with it, where it resets the game back to a different setting and it provides different contexts to make the game more interesting. So it's not like get this one hero and the game is over. You have to like go back, and then sometimes a hero might be better, right? So what's cool is at the start of every single season, you have like 144 hours where you can basically build champions, reset them, build champions, reset them, build them, reset them. So you can try a champion out. If it's not to your liking, reset them, get all your energy back, get all your resources back, and try a different champion for the first 144 hours in each season, which is very good. So yeah, so you got like, you create your own adventurer, and then you upgrade your adventure. This is like the Dungeons and Dragons style thing. So I've been putting all mine into Charisma and Wisdom. I made Emo Legolas, as you can see. And then you get like some identity stuff here. So you can see I've got like, you know, you pick this based on how you want to create your character at the start. So I just picked those things. Then you can basically change the element of your own heroes. If you want them to be frost-based or lightning-based or fire-based, they can. They do different abilities. Lightning, for example, blinds and stuns. I prefer the crowd control. But this affinity then gives you benefits to the affinity. And what the affinity is a predetermined set of affinities, right? So heroes can be radiant, lightning, frost, I think this is like necrosis or something, fire or poison. And you get bonuses for having the same types of affinity on your team. So if you have 3 heroes of the same affinity combination, lightning, radiant, you get all these bonus stats. If you get 5, this is where that psychic core element was kind of coming into it, where when you start getting to this tier of stuff here, you start getting more like these stuff here. You get bonuses for having 5 on the same team. So it's like, you know, 15% elemental damage, or different attack percentages, damage taken, various different things. So what you can do is, based on the hero selections that you have in your team, set the elemental settings so that you get these bonuses, and that's where the depth of the game comes into it, right? So you're basically building teams around various different affinities. Those elements are going to like change in each season. So just because you've got a core set of strong champions now, because lightning and radiant works well together, it might be that next season radiant and frost works together, or poison and lightning works better together, and you might change your roster around a little bit. So I think the fact that it does a seasonal refresh is quite cool. There's no cost for gear swapping at all, so I can change my gear around however much I want. It won't cost me a thing. The only cost is refining, and that's done through gold. And there's like, I'm still getting to the advanced stuff on gearing, like we haven't got to this pieces yet, positive runes and stuff. So that's kind of cool. Every hero basically has sometimes they have an aura. If they don't have an aura, they have a passive skill, a battle skill, and an ultimate skill that has recharging time, with chance for different things. So like, for example, here, Isolde is a defense champion, so whenever she gets a shield, she will reduce the damage she takes by 15%. She has this ability here that grants defense up to all allies within this range, which she does on a 7-second and then 12 seconds. So when you book it, it gets down. It's almost like cooldown. And then we have an ultimate here that basically deals a decreased attack and gives a shield to everyone. Damage modifier is attack and maximum HP. The damage modifications is stuff that I need to drill down into more as I'm learning the game and playing the game more, because you've got some very complicated damage mechanics in here. You have this thing called enlightenment. Some abilities have derivative damage. So I think, who's got the bow at the moment? This has the bow, right? This weapon, whenever I use a basic attack, I have a 30% chance of dealing lightning damage equal to 190% of my attack as derivative lightning damage. Now, when you see the word derivative, it basically means that the stat of enlightenment can increase the damage value of derivative damage. And this is like, I'm learning stuff here. So it's a lot of depth to it. There's lots of story as well, which you can get into if you want to. I beat up a big dragon. In terms of your daily activities, there is the battle pass, which has daily quests for arena. There's like resettable 24-hour commissions, which are like very quick quests. There's dungeons, and there's the Horn Summoning. They have weekly quests. There's lots of puzzles around the world. So like when you're walking around, you'll have like little puzzles where you have to like solve the lock and different things. I don't think it does go. We were talking about this earlier. Someone was saying like poison increase it, like enlightenment boosts poison damage from the actual poison you place. I don't think it does.
I will never.
Doesn't say it does.
Even in darkness's grip, I refuse to
It says poison deals damage equal to 5% of the target's max HP, up to 30% of the caster's attack. Where does it say anything about like damage modifier attack? Nothing here says enlightenment. I don't think it does. Click the details options to see multipliers. Where is that? Oh, I've been wondering where this is. This is really good. Thank you. I've been wondering where this is. But yeah, so what I'm saying is it needs to have a multiplier on here, right? So someone was telling me about this. See if I can find one. 820, wow.
I shall protect the capital
300 attack,
till the end.
400 attack. See if I can find someone that has it.
Sorry I'm late. Well, this fellow seems like a fight.
The moonlight is by far the most beautiful.
See if I can find one.
Judging a book by its cover would be a
No.
grave mistake.
This chick, by the way, heals so much.
I will never, ever let the forest down.
This champion also is a bit of a monster for damage. This does so much damage.
Care to indulge my dancing? I fancy myself a guardian.
Oh, look, here's the max HP.
I wish to guard is gone.
Wagner. Or Wagner. I'd probably say Wagner is the way I say. Thank you. That is really handy that I know about the details. I don't know why I didn't think to click on that. Can I find someone who does derivative damage?
Flames.
I saw. Oi! Got any ramming?
Don't try any tricks.
See if I can find someone.
Don't you even
Yeah.
dare
There you go. Look, here we go.
defy the chief's command.
This is what it matters to only with Enlightenment. It's actually a massive multiplier. So this book here, like if you didn't know the details, you would like this is where the multiplier comes into it, right? So it's basically saying for every on this multiplier here, one attack is equal to is that well, let's just see 3,000 divided by 500. So every 6 enlightenment is equal to 1 attack here. It's a very big multiplier. Yeah, Wagner. I thought it was right. Thank you so much. That's really handy, the details. I was wondering where that was coming from. Yeah, but I don't know if it's actually true, though. Because it doesn't say anywhere in the game that poison
Exiled between life and death.
actually has a massive impact in terms of enlightenment. Because it would tell you. It would tell you up there if it did.
Embrace your doom.
Like, none of these are basically saying anything to do with that. That clearly says, like, if we look at the poisoner, if we can find a poisoner here.
It's a horrible place. Only money won't betray you.
Still not
That doesn't
used
say
to
anything about
darkness
enlightenment.
above ground after all this time.
So, I'm not sure. Yeah, it tells you here, look. Affects the derivative damage or becomes the coefficient of some skills directly. Increases this hero's derivative damage by 0%. Derivative damage. Additional damage generated by a specific skill gains an enlightenment bonus but cannot trigger crit. So it's like, it's very vague. I mean, it could be. Maybe I'm not. I'm still learning the game, but it's got a lot of depth to it, you know? I'm still probably like like just coming out of early game, I think. We haven't had a legendary yet, though. No, enlightenment is just flat. You get it from stats, right? So you can see I've got some champions here that have got enlightenment.
The blossoming of
One thing I
Hydra
wasn't sure about
brings
is
blessings.
this recovery over time. Does it count as healing? Because I've put this on her to increase the healing, but I don't actually know if hit recovery counts as healing. Because we know, like in Raid, for example, continuous heal is different from actual healing, which is different from leech healing. Yeah, that's what I understand it as Wagner. If it specifically says it does something with enlightenment, then you can gain an advantage from it, right? But if it doesn't say anything about enlightenment, I just assume that enlightenment is a wasted stat, right?
Well, this fellow seems like a fine target.
So, because the poisons are just going to be boss's HP. But this chick does so much damage. She's crazy damage dealer because of this. 710%. Nuts. It's good to see multipliers though, right?
Crowds and apples.
That's quite a lot.
To test them all.
Even in darkness's grip.
I shall protect the
She's meant to be
capital
quite good,
till
but I
the
couldn't make
end.
her work. I've been looking and testing this champion as well because she does attack up to the champion with the highest attack. So, and then she does a big, she does like, if you've ever played League of Legends, she does Lux's Lightning Bolt, which hits really hard if you can get Rally. Rally is all about like getting loads of champions in the team with Rally. You just need a lot of Rally champions like this dude. This dude, this dude. If you can get a lot of Rally champions together, this can really like scale quite hard, but you need them all together. And the only problem is a lot of Rally seems to be behind Radiant, and Radiant as a single affinity is not great.
Such traitors aren't worthy of
Like,
my
see here,
blood.
here's the Enlightenment. Heals the ally with the lowest HP and heals the allies and the allies with invisibility by 200% and 2000% enlightenment. But it doesn't do it on the damage modification, so... Yeah, there's no limit stack, is it? It just keeps scaling.
Buried in peace is a blessing.
But I haven't pulled a legendary yet, right? I've got some good epics, but I haven't pulled a legendary. But we have some summons that I saved for the stream. Oops, that's the wrong button. So... They've just unlocked another summon in here. But I've been doing this because if I can get enough summons within 18 days, you basically get a free legendary. So we've got 5 epics. The summoning is quite good in this game. You can't summon more than one champion. There is no duplicate system. If you get a duplicate, you basically get some of this imprint stone, which you can exchange for like accessories, and then it's essence of creation, which you use to then refine those accessories. So you can only ever get the heroes once, so therefore the dupe system's a bit different in this game. We did get a new rare there. The mercy system is quite good. So these purple dice, you can only get legendary, epic, rare, or common, right? So it's a 3% chance you get an epic, 20% chance you get a rare, and 77% chance you get a common. You're guaranteed a rare every 5 pull, and you're guaranteed an epic every 35 pulls on these. That's the mercy. It's not like after a certain amount you start getting percentages. It's like you haven't pulled an epic in 35, have an epic. Olaf. Oh, we got another rare. Is it going to be a dupe? It's a dupe. Arena, we do have it. See, so you get some of these essence of creation stuff. Now, when it comes to legendary, it's a 3% chance to get a legendary, 17% epic, and 80% rare. If you don't get a legendary after 35 summons, you get a legendary. So 35 summons on these guarantees you a legendary. 7 summons on these guarantees you an epic. And again, there's not like get to 100 summons and then you got 1%. It is basically off you go. How can you start this game? You can use a referral code if you want. Where is it? Upcoming events. Oh. So you see all these. Look, they give you basically give you insights to everything that's coming up. Don't know what all these are though. Summoning events, I guess. If you want, you can. I think all the promo codes are over now. Oh, there's too many posts here. This. You want, you can play the game. You can become a traveler. Could be my referral. Yeah, they have separate pity. So I've been basically summoning on the Heliolite summons here because if I summon 80 of these, then I'll get a legendary for free. If I get there in 18 days, which is a stretch, but you never know. So to buy one of these is about 350 gems. So we've got 3 that we've picked up. And I can probably make another 1 here as well. So we've got 4. So as I said, if you get to 35 summons, you get a legendary. So I'm 10 away from a guaranteed legendary. It's very nice to know exactly what you need to do. Pull 35, you get a legendary. Yeah, this might be difficult. Like I bought the battle pass, which gives you a couple of summons, and I've bought the daily gem pack, and I've also bought the food pack. So I'm getting a bit of investment. I haven't whaled that hard though. I've spent like 30 quid on the game. Come on. Been trying to get a legendary all this time. Oh, he's new though. Quarian. When healing allies, it gains a 20% chance of increasing the healing by 50%. That's huge. Grants a 10% max HP shield to the ally and recovery over time. Heals all allies by 15%. Additionally, grants defense up. Not bad. I know I can't. Come on. Come on. Legendary. Was an epic. Oh, it's flying. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. He's huge. Look at that. What did he do? Ooh, 30% attack. This hero gains attack speed up when they obtain a buff. That's nasty. Deals lightning damage. Every 1% extra attack speed gained by the hero grants 1% damage bonus. So the passive, so if you give him a buff, this gains 50% damage bonus. And then locks on to an enemy for 2 seconds, during which time a missile is launched at them every 0.5 seconds, each dealing lightning damage. The lock-on duration is affected by the attack speed. Each 1% of extra speed increases the duration by 0.02 up to a 6. This skill is considered a basic attack. So we were talking about this last night. There's some champions that have this concept that they become a basic attack, and we were trying to figure out what the relative value of it is. Dauntless champions are designed to basically kill on single target abilities rather than ultimates, but they're basically accessories that only work on basic attack. He might be actually really good to invest in. Come on. Oh, another epic. Back-to-back epics. Doolin. We're pulling dwarves. Look at this mallet. Look at that. That's cool. Doolin. What do we got? Increases all allies' defense by 30% in the arena. This hero takes 1% less damage for every 3% they lose. Okay. Deals radiant damage to enemies within and grants a taunt to 100% an attack penalty. That's pretty good. Grants ally protection to all allies within range and grants defense up and recovery over time. Oof. Meredith is really good. Okay. He looks pretty good. So again, I can summon it. I can summon it. I should have done a temple. Yeah, you were right. I can get another one here. Although I don't know how you can, like, claim one. Oops, press the button. Come on in. I feel like Legendary's around the corner. Oh, we're going to hit Mercy, aren't we? Fizzle in the bizzle. Alright, basically, a lot of people have been saying just keep pulling shards for Season 1 because you keep your heroes, right? So just getting access to the heroes right now is a really good idea rather than trading this in for something else, right? You can make it do other things and various things, but it's just like, you know, keep summoning. Come on. Oh. I can't. I'm cursed. What is it with every single game that I play? I just cannot get a legendary champion. Man, like... Even, like, Hellhades got a legendary champion. YST's got a legendary champion. Why can't I have a legendary champion? I know the epics are really good, Gore, and I know the epics are better than legendaries in this game to some extent, but I just want to have one legendary to my name. It's like legit painful. I should change the game over here, by the way, just briefly. It's so painful. Like, what do you have to do? I'm 5 away from Mercy, but trying to get 5 of these is a lot, right? Because if we look at the monetization model, when you take away the free packs, like these packs are really good. When you start doing this, then it starts getting a bit silly, right? So if you think you need 350, so to get to my legendary champion, I'd need like 1750. So if I bought this pack here, I could get a legendary champion. But that's so bad, isn't it? Like, these packs are so expensive. Like, you know, this is the gacha element. So you can buy basically energy with these gems. You can buy master scrolls, right? So you can buy books with these gems, which are really good. Rally tickets, renaming, champion vouchers, so like arena refills. You can buy gold with it if you want. Most people are just buying this at the moment. The game, but have you tried reinstalling Viper? This, I don't really know why they made this currency, because all this currency is used for is to make the other currency. Staff turn into a whale. Honestly, it's so frustrating. I haven't really spent much money on it though. Like, it's much more forgiving than Raid. Yeah, I missed a lot of the promo codes as well. This dude looks good. This dude looks really good. One of the things I'm struggling with at the moment is building tower defense. So I think this dude might be quite good for tower defense, right? Because he's ranged, right? I think he's ranged. Is he ranged? Let's have a look. Let's give him a quick upgrade. Oh, I need to go do Tempest Domain. Hang on. So they do have potion keeps. They do have potion keeps in here, like, you know, all good games. It's weird. I don't know why it's not working. Pull 3 Legos in 623. Oof. Yeah, I thought it would be the case, Gort, that it would be some sort of legal thing why they've done it, to basically make it legally viable. Because you're not buying in-game currency, you're buying currency that you can then exchange for in-game currency. It's a bit of a loophole. Yeah, I've been looking for basically more AoE damage dealers. Like, for example, I think... Am I using my double heal setup here, or am I using my other nuker? I think I'm using my double heal setup here. For goblins, I run more DPS now. But this boss is just a little bit ropey because I got a lot of Radiant champs here.
I'll try my best.
So with the potion keeps, basically, if you bring elements for like the Tempest Domain, which is Radiant and Lightning, they get a damage penalty and an incoming damage penalty. So you have to like have elements that are not matching the dungeon you're farming, right? So it's taking longer because essentially my main damage dealer is taking 30% less damage, is dealing 30% less damage.
I'll try my best.
There we go. I think we've got enough now. We can just awaken him. So, like, you need the gems and then you can upgrade them, right? So, this dude now can get upgraded. Reasonably cheap to get enough to test your hero, you know? So, this dude is based on attack speed, attack, and attack. So we kind of want like attack percentage, which I don't really have. Like the loot, I'm still trying to get better gear. Using you at the moment, so we can use you. With that one. So you can see the gear is a little bit, you know, all over the place. for me at the moment. I'm just like picking pieces based on whether they're good or not. There's a depth to the gearing that I haven't reached yet. That's where we're at with this game. There's a level of this game that I haven't reached at all. Poor Arlo's losing his gear. What do we got here? 19%. Cool attack. Let's just go throw this dude into a goblin run. Night Darky. Let's see how well he does on the higher stage here. Let's take out Lightning Bolt Queen. He probably needs more Dauntless around it. Oh my god, the guy is huge. He probably needs more Dauntless around him, right? But it doesn't really say much. I mean, he certainly would benefit from, like, if I take out you a second and I bring in... Oh, she's going to buff those, isn't she? Let's take you out and let's bring in, what's his face? This dude.
You overestimate yourself.
No, I know, gear issues. So the idea is this dude is really good for buffing, because he will buff all of this. But normally you need more rally champions. So normally I'd run like another rally champ, like this champ with it, because this champ can basically rally different people. We'll try this. Oh, okay. What have I taken off him?
The moonlight is by far the most beautiful thing.
Have that's fine.
Because it doesn't hamper.
Is Savage Stone Skin or Swift Parry Stone Skin? Probably Savage. So what we want to look at is the damage output here. How good is this dude down here at dealing damage? But he's not getting buffs at the moment, which is the key thing. He needs buffs, really. Which is what my Radiant guy is meant to be doing, is meant to be buffing him, but they don't appear to be.
Don't underestimate the strength of the forest humans.
So I'm probably gonna have to bring the other chicken, Kales, who's a Radiant champ, because Radiant champs increase the attack. Because the idea is he's meant to put it on everyone who rallies, but because this guy's on a rally champion, we're not really getting anywhere. She's holding on for dear life. Yeah, probably actually Beta. Oh, our tank died. Should be fine though. His damage is low at the moment, but that's probably because he's not getting attack speed buffs. Look at this Rare, by the way. Look how much damage this Rare is doing on her own. 46%. Yeah, she likes to say that a lot. She's a talker, that one. I mean, he didn't do much here because we just didn't get enough buffs. Did we say this dude? Yeah, but they got to be in range is the problem. He would be the tank to replace Arena, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take him out and put this in.
Fret not. We'll win this battle.
I mean, it's only going to grant it to the ally with the highest.
Yes, I'll try my...
She should provide recovery over time.
Don't underestimate the strength of the forest humans.
So there we go.
Don't underestimate the strength.
So his attack speed's increasing now.
I'll try my best.
There's that continuous attacking.
Yes,
I'll try my best.
have at it, comrades.
I know, I'm using him I'm using him here just to see what the damage potential profile is like.
I'll try my best.
I kind of like it. It's funny. I like the voices. It's funny. Who is the Taras equivalent on this game? I don't know yet. I don't know enough about it to know that. This rare champion though is pumping.
Don't underestimate the strength of the forest humans.
I don't know. I kind of tone out the voices in my head. It doesn't bother me.
Don't have at it, comrades. Underestimate the strength of the forest humans.
Into the
I mean, his damage is low, isn't it? My tank is doing more damage. I know he's only level 40. Again, like, he's not getting enough buffs, so I wonder if that's a problem. I mean, he's getting increased attack there, look, which helps his attack speed. Maybe not so good then. Funny enough, you can't turn the audio off in battle. She's like out damaging everyone, isn't she? Yeah, not so good. Just so people don't lose their mind. Is it the dialogue we need to turn off? Oh, battle. Nope. Let's just mute the audio for you. There you go. I don't really want to mute the audio. Maybe I just need to do dialogue to see if that solves it. Wait, why is it still muted? There you go. So yeah, so that guy didn't really seem to be that impressive. But again, I just don't know whether it's a case of he needs to be paired with like Dauntlesses. So, learning curve, really. This dude is like a premier tank if I was to use him in a Radiant setup. He's a very good tank, but I feel like Isolde is a very good tank as well, and I'm using her a lot. She is a fire, which doesn't really, like... If I was to continue to index towards, like, Radiant Lightning, then I would have to use him as a tank, but... You know, toxic eventually, poisons are going to come into their own. I need to do more experimentation with like some of these poisoners to see what we got. Like I've picked up a couple of the new guys like Altin here. Not really a poisoner, but he's poison effect element. Like this chick does like a Xavier explosion that does a lot of damage. That's the poison healer. Doesn't heal as much as Meredith. But again, if you go down like the fire poison route, then you're going to have to use this chick because she's got the right elements and you want 5 bonuses eventually. So that's the fun part about the different seasons, you know, that technically I've invested in a fire champion that doesn't match the predominant lightning and radiant that I've gone. So the 5 affinity bonus is not going to work. Because to get 5 affinity with fire, you need to go fire or poison. Otherwise, you don't get these bonuses, right? So you see I get bonuses here for this setup, nothing for here. So really, I should be looking at only lightning and radiant, which means that this dwarf here now rises in priority because he could replace Isolde. Although, Isolde does attack penalty 2. It's a stronger attack penalty, right? So, I mean, you can always give your advice, yeah? But she's an insane healer. She's very good. Enna is also a very good healer for this. You get to get rid of debuffs, which is really, really important. There's a lot of bosses that apply debuffs on you. You need to be able to do that. This chick does work. She attacks like... She does work. I need to get better gear for her, but she is doing like crazy amounts of damage at the moment. You know, you can tell that based on how much multiplier there is. Very strong multipliers. I use this chick a lot as well because, you see, so these two together are really good. And then if I convert this dude over to fire or poison, to basically fire, sorry, then we would need to basically go, okay, now that we've done that, we've got a good lineup and a good setup. We would have to like probably swap out Meredith for the Hexandra healer down here. She'd have to become the main healer. That gives us the 4 elements. So then it would only be 5 position left. And we have attack penalty. We have skill haste reduction, which is really good. So we probably would just want to bring like a poisoner. Which... I would go with... I mean, he looks alright. Sprays a poisonous mist to the area, dealing poison, dealing 80% attack, 400 enlightenment, derivative poison damage to enemies, with an 80% chance of inflicting one for 15 seconds. He seems really good. Every 3 basic attacks additionally deal derivative poison damage to the enemy with a chance of... Like, he seems like he's going to pump poisons like crazy, Dench. Yeah, I know, Wagner. Yeah, I'm aware of that. I use goblins as a testing ground to try different heroes out because it's pretty straightforward. There's no like effects you have to worry about, so I can just throw them in and see how well they perform because I can compare them against something else. This Dench dude looks a bit good, doesn't he, for a rare? We get poison, poisons, poisons. I don't think I've got a better poisoner than that. What's this dude? He's the healer. There's loads of radiant tanks and healers. There's so many radiant tanks and healers, you know? That might be very strong healing. If you just index completely into enlightenment there, that's probably very strong healing. Would need to try Kalido. I think he's one of the newer ones people were saying. Gains defense up for 10 seconds when casting a skill. When the skill takes effect on an ally with less than 60%, grants the ally defense up. Interesting. The blonde poison rare. The blonde... What? You mean this one? Yeah. We got Sigrid as well. This has a lot of damage on it. That's crazy. I mean, Sigrid, attack penalty and healing reduction. Really good. But doesn't actually do any poisons. Just does poison damage. So that's kind of good if you want, like, decreased attack, but we've got Isolde for that. This guy does 3 stacks of poison. And 2 stacks of poison. When dealing damage, each stack of poison allows the damage to ignore 2.5 of the target. Maybe he's actually better than Dench there because he pumps like 3, 2. What was that? Oh, restores HP. That's boring. So I'm just kind of looking at poison champions to see which ones are the better ones. Obviously, legendaries are kind of cool and all, but we don't have those. We have all of them apart from Li. What's he do? Deals enemies to poison. Additionally, deals 40% derivative poison damage. Gains 15% attack up for 5 seconds and then shoots a crossbow bolt, dealing poison with 100% chance of inflicting 1 stack of poison. And then shoots 3 arrows in a designated direction each dealing. So that's kind of like... Not... Like, he's not actually stacking poisons, is he? Yeah, there's 3 types, really, if you think about it, Michael. There's champions that deal damage, deal poison damage based on their attack, champions that apply a poison debuff, and then champions that deal bonus damage when there are poisons on the target, right? So, like, this dude here basically applies poisons, but deals poison damage, applies poisons and deal poison damage, and then ignores target's defense when there's poisons on there. So he probably scales quite hard in the sense that when you keep stacking up poisons, this doesn't seem to have a cap. So what's that, 2.5%. So to ignore 100% defense, you'd need 4,000. No, that's not the right word. Math here. Times, right? Can't do math now, it's too late. Like, so 4 poison stacks would be 10% target defense, so 40, right? So you need 40 poison stacks, and then he ignores defense. Seems pretty good. Theodore, what do you do? Oof, 60. Recharging speed penalty is really good. When an enemy is afflicted with control, grants 10% energy when an ally is inflicted with control. Okay, let's... See, this is where this is better, right? That's an attack penalty 2 instead of 1. Dispels 2 debuffs from all allies, then heals them. For each debuff successfully with the healing is increased. So that is a massive ability. That is huge. That is an absolute monstrous ability. 2 debuffs, 15% heal, which is increased by 25% for every debuff for, like, increased by 50% if you fully cleanse. He's big. Garion. Okay, Richie. He's a bit out. He's a bit mid. Good old Gareth. What does Gareth do? Defense up, then strikes an enemy, dealing poison damage, and reduces the damage taken from them for 5 seconds. Seems a bit basic. Wow. 5 enemies. Strikes an enemy 5 times, dealing poison damage, with each having a 75% chance of inflicting. So it's basically 5 stacks. And then basically 5 AoE. And then, yeah, here you go. When attacking enemies inflicted with the target's 1% defense is ignored for every stack. So, you know, if you can scale poisons up, there's a resurrection here. Frubath. Attack penalty. He's a defense-based champion. Generates a healing nexus around the hero. Heals all allies for 50 friends. When dealing damage to enemies under debuffs, this hero has a 30% chance of healing the ally with the lowest HP and dispels 1 debuff from them. The more debuffs on the target, the higher. That is monstrous. He's probably like a monster, this Frubath. He's probably an absolute monstrous tank. Corin. When an enemy inflicted with poison dies, its poison spreads to nearby enemies. Oh, that's good. Launches 3 venomous attacks to the nearest enemy, dealing poison. Refreshes the duration of 1 of the enemy's poisons, then triggers poison explosion and spreads its poisons. Okay, so that's like a poison spreader, I guess. Seems pretty good. That's champion I've already got. Horus. Old Man Nubbraids. Poison explosion. All poisons of the target immediately deals more damage than at once. When the hero deals damage to an enemy in a poison, every stack increases the crit rate of this damage, yeah. Twitch. So yeah, so I'm looking at different options here. I might try and put a poison team together, depending on like poisons. Poison seem to be the big thing, right? You know, these are legendaries now. Hello, emo Legolas. Give me free summons. It's so annoying. I'm so close to a legendary summon. So annoying. So annoying. Anyway, guys, that is DragonHeir. It's pretty cool. I'm playing it a bit. I'm learning a bit. Still progressing. I'm having a fair bit of fun with it. I got to do more of the storyline. There is a big angry Poseidon boss. The arena's kind of cool because essentially, when you go to the arena, everyone is set to the highest level in your roster. So if you've made a champion that's like level 75, then all champions are level 75, and your gear that you own, you can move it all around, right? So basically, in competitive mode, you have completely separate champion builds that use the same amount of gear that you've got compared to non-competitive mode, which is actually quite cool. I don't know the full extent of it. I'm still learning, but it is quite cool. But anyway, guys, I'm going to head off now. It's just coming up for 11 o'clock here, so I want to try and get a bit of an early night. But thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Good luck if you're going for the Panda. I'll be back Monday. We'll see what the summoning brings us, what we have to do tomorrow, what other events and rewards we've got. And yeah, if you want to try out DragonHeir, the link is in the pinned comment if you want to try it out. But I will catch you guys on the next stream. Ciao.